You've got the look in your eyes. You're on a mission, burning ambition. You've got your eyes on the prize. You've gotta rise to the challenge. Show 'em what you got. Step up and take what's yours. You are kings now, Clash of Titans.
Oh my god, yeah.
What robot?
Hey everyone, this is Anthony with Tornado Tag Podcast. We are back. We have a lot to talk about. Some good, some bad, and some very ugly.
No kidding.
So we're gonna real quick. If you guys like what you hear, you like supporting us, please hit that like and subscribe button, and share it. Tell your friends that we're here, and tell them how awesome we are, and how you want to touch our bodies.
Whoa,
No, and also if you want to cover your body, you can buy some cool merch. See that little segue there?
Segue.
Yeah. So you can get some cool merch from our store. Link is below. We do have a lot of really neat stuff. And everything we pretty much talk about, like other pages we support or in every other podcast, which you'll hear later in the show, are all in the links below. So
Check us out on Anchor.
yeah, and check us out on Anchor, and all the streaming sites are all below as well. So a lot of cool stuff. As you see, 4 brand new microphones. So we all should sound pretty good. We have to do a little share job over here between these two guys.
How many pillows did Heidi buy for these microphones?
What?
How many pillows did Heidi buy for these
Nothing.
microphones?
I actually I sold some. I sold a personal item to get the other 2 microphones.
Well, the item we
It
knew
was
about?
a child that you didn't know about.
Was it the item we discussed?
The pew pew.
Yeah.
Yes, I sold that. I sold a gun. So
I was gonna guess
pew
I was
pew.
gonna guess butt plug, but
yeah.
okay.
I
go
sold
on.
the butt plug.
I thought he would have sold the Enzo Pop.
No. Never. You never is right.
If it was a butt plug, you probably could have got rid of it. So like, I think should ugly fuck. You lied and said it's Heidi's. He'd be like, sold $400.
Yeah.
He's getting a reference.
It's already in the show. We're already a minute in, and Tom Kessler got it right.
Tom Kessler.
Shout out.
I wish he knew. I wonder if he knows how much he's talked about on the show.
No, he's no idea.
I have no idea.
I haven't seen him in the gym in a while.
The episode title is gonna be the good, the bad, and the fucking ugly.
That's what it is. The good, the bad, and the Tony is fucking ugly.
the Tom Kessler. People are like, who is this?
That would be the title, but we do have a topic tonight, so
Okay.
we're gonna it'll probably be named after the topic. But we'll just get through some news here. Some of those news we'll bounce back and forth from, because obviously, it's going to pertain to a lot of the stuff we're going to talk about. So since the last show, that's the Blueberry Bear.
Oh, okay.
So since the last show, we had a draft. And then we had week 2 and 3, or week 3 of NXT and AEW. There was a New Japan show in there.
Yeah, I didn't even get a chance to watch it.
And then was there a Ring of Honor show?
I don't know.
I don't think, other than weekly TV, I don't
Ring
think
of
so.
Honor had a final battle.
No, that's in December.
Okay.
No. What was the pay-per-view this past weekend?
I have no idea.
I don't think there
Oh,
was
Death
one.
Before Dishonor.
Something like that.
Death Before Dishonor.
To be honest, did not watch
Was that
it.
PCO versus
Yeah, PCO was like the
and it
number
was-
one contender.
Yeah, I think he won the
And then Roosh
You shouldn't
beat
have
Matt
no slack
Taven.
if you had to-
Oh yeah, that was 2 weeks ago, I think.
Roosh beat Matt Taven.
That was the
for
Friday
Ring of Honor World
before-
title. Oh, I'm sorry.
Like October 6th.
El
that Friday.
Toro Blanco, as
No,
he's being
that's
referred to now after CMLL released him.
And if worse comes to worse, you guys can just take it off the stand and physically hold it.
Okay.
It's up
Like
to
you're
you.
interviewing each other.
Yeah.
What are you
Which
saying?
that's going to be the hard part now because Roosh was starting to become an established name in CMLL, owning the rights to the name, and his brother's Dragon Lee.
Yeah.
It's going to be hit and miss now. I don't think El Toro Blanco is going
That's a stupid name.
Yeah. Well, that's what he's going by for now. Dragon Lead has not come up with a new name
not
yet.
that Roosh was a great name either. So.
No, Roosh isn't. You know what's so weird? How like wrestling right now is more popular than ever, and like Ring of Honor feels like it's still dying.
I know it's still struggling.
Well,
it's like the only
yeah,
one that's
it
struggling.
sucks.
It's
Well,
terrible.
they lost almost 3/4 of their roster to AEW.
10 guys. Was like,
Granted, they
two
lost.
more are going. You know?
They lost the Bullet Club, the Elite, whatever they were at the
SCU.
time. SCU. But you brought in Lifeblood, which had Juice Robinson,
And then he took off.
Mark
Yeah,
Haskins,
he quit. In, like,
You literally just
four
like
shows.
that's apples and oranges.
Yeah.
though. That's like saying
Bandito. I mean, Bandito is probably one of the highlights of the show right now.
But the Elite is like the golden
Yeah.
standard of wrestling, and they all left your company.
Yeah, so he lost 4 or 5.
well, you got to remember who
6,
really all
5.
did they lose? They lost the Bucks.
Kenny,
They lost
Kenny
their money.
wasn't really
Cody. Cody was
Kenny
world
and Cody
champion.
weren't really on the show though. They were just doing spot appearances. Guys who were
Cody
there.
was world
Cody was a
champion.
little bit more regular, but
Yeah.
Kenny was.
But
Yeah.
people tuned
But
in to see if
Hangman?
they would show
He
up.
lost
that night.
Hangman and he lost the Bucks in my eyes.
And SCU.
SCU.
3 of them.
And then Marty when Marty's contract's
yeah,
up.
he's gonna go. Yeah, and
Yeah,
Flip
he's gonna go.
when Flip's
That's-
contract's up.
I don't think Flip's gonna leave. I think
If
He's still in being the lead intro.
Yeah, here we go.
if Seth Rollins, Roman Reigns, Brock Lesnar, and
Ladies down.
and the club all left WWE tomorrow, do you think it would affect them?
no.
I think you're crazy.
yeah, for sure.
At that point, I think you would see that brand extension end very quickly.
Yeah.
yeah.
So that's like you just took away your 5 heavy
I mean,
hitters.
what's the
Yeah.
difference if Brock Lesnar comes or Brock Lesnar goes? Brock Lesnar shows up when he wants, so it's no skin off my back whether he goes.
well, even if you drop Brock Lesnar and add fucking
Yeah, but they were mainstays. Like, you know.
Bray Wyatt,
Yeah.
you lose those guys, it's gonna hurt your company.
I think Bray Wyatt's more popular than Brock Lesnar right now, honestly.
Yeah, but I'm
He's
just saying,
definitely hotter. Yeah, definitely.
I'm just saying if you lose heavy hitters like that, people aren't loyal to your brand.
And
They're
it's
loyal
all
to-
at once.
yeah.
You know, that's
Yeah.
a lot of people. all
You
at
see,
once.
you got to look at it from a different perspective, though. We are pro wrestling fans. I am not a WWE fan. I am not.
What do you watch more of?
I watch everything. I watch everything equally.
AEW's on one week and Impact's on the same time. What are you watching?
Probably neither because I pre-recorded so I could skip through the fucking commercials.
But you're 90% of your wrestling audience is going to go to AEW because they like
Yeah.
the wrestlers that are there.
It's on
I
a bigger
see-
channel too.
You see, this past Wednesday night,
ROH is still on
last
whatever.
night I was at the gym. Of course, USA is on one of the TVs at the gym. I'm going to be forced to watch NXT.
Yeah.
Now I came
I
home.
don't think it was a bad forced job, to be honest.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
correct. But I watched the hour on the treadmill, and then I came home. I had it pre-recorded, set the record. I watched AEW just to catch up because you guys were on the group chat going on about it. I watched what I could before I nodded off. Came home, finished it, and watched the NXT matches I missed.
I fell asleep, watched what I missed of AEW, and then stayed up till 3 in the morning and watched.
Really? Oh my
NXT,
god!
yeah.
I didn't see. Well, I didn't see a second of it.
And I think one of the things with Ring of Honor is they've lost their identity. They were the work rate company,
Yeah.
and now that's NXT.
Yeah.
And then you have the cutting edge company, that's AEW now. And New Japan is easily accessible. Like Ring of
it
Honor
seems-
doesn't have an
And New
identity
Japan ain't
anymore.
working with them anymore.
And here-
it was
yeah.
we're gonna break up but not tell each other.
It really comes down to it seems like a Ring of Honor builds up these really super talented
And then they
people,
leave, yeah.
and they leave and go to bigger
Yeah.
names. Like,
I mean, Ring of Honor is literally the stepping stone. Everybody knows Ring of Honor's always been the stepping stone.
Sinclair has big money though, but they just don't. Put
They
it
can't
in.
afford it.
all right. So
Well, Sinclair could.
Yeah.
first topic here, we'll just kind of get into the Inner Circle was named, obviously.
Yeah.
For me, that the stable does nothing. We kind of talked about last week.
I think they don't fit together.
It doesn't fit for me.
It's just
I would
five
take out
guys.
Jack Swagger because I hate him and replace him with Lance Archer even though he's with New Japan, just won the U.S. title. And then I would take out LAX and replace him with a tag team that looks more like metal guys.
Yeah.
Sammy can stay, but they just look like 5 guys that would never talk to each other.
Something that was cool though, Jericho said on his podcast that he actually pitched to WWE that Jack Swagger should be his like muscle in WWE.
Really?
Like after Swagger won the world title and then he went back in the mid card, like after all that shit, he went to Vince and was like, "Yo, let him be my muscle." And Vince was like, "Nah, we're not doing that. Like he's gonna be like Mr. USA." And Jericho's like, "God damn it, all right."
Yeah.
You know, like if AEW got the Briscoes, I think they'd fit better with Jericho.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Well, what's the story with the Impact buying a Ring of Honor? Is that a thing still?
No,
I guess that's dead.
Yeah.
So the Briscoes are going to hang out there. I don't think the Briscoes are ever going to leave there unless it's worse comes to worse.
I hope they do. I mean, what
I
more can you
don't-
do? You win the tag belts 10 times.
I think
11.
Yeah.
I don't know if they would ever bring them in, but I think a really good fit with Jericho would be the wild card team in NWA.
Oh, yeah.
Tom Latimer, Bram.
Yeah, 'cause they
and,
look like-
and
You
who's
gotta-
the guy? Royce Isaacs.
Yeah, you got to get him some different gear, though. The
Yeah.
bright neon little trunks.
I think the Briscoe brothers would have been a cooler team for that stable than what they
Yeah.
have.
The Briscoes would fit perfectly because they have the same kind of attitude towards Jericho. And realistically, I like Sammy Guevara in the ring, but on the mic, he kind of reminds me of that young, brash Jericho first coming in the WCW.
And then you have Jericho and Jay Briscoe, are two great promo guys.
Yeah, I
that
think the
they could
Briscoes
do
would
some
fit so much
good
better.
stuff together.
Then you got
yeah.
the Briscoes with two of the more unique moves in wrestling right now, with Mark doing the froggy bow and Jay has the that double underhook pile driver.
But you put Marty in when Marty comes. And Marty turns.
Well, that's what I pitched.
Yeah.
I pitched that I think Marty should
Get rid of
should
LAX
join,
because they don't fit at all. Marty and Flip, and they put them in Inner Circle.
I'll tell you
I know
what,
they're smaller.
dude. When
dudes.
Jericho was giving his promo on the Titantron, and the one dude from LAX would not shut the hell
Oh,
up.
yeah.
I was so pissed. If I was like in the back, if I was Tony Khan, I'd be like, "Yo, shut your goddamn
Tell the ref
mouth
to shut up."
when we're doing a promo on the Titantron, you idiot."
Did the one guy keep biting his tongue and then
that was the dude that wouldn't shut up, yo.
and
the whole
Gaval
time
maybe he
kept,
should have kept biting
That's
his tongue.
the smaller
Santana.
one. Yeah,
he
I
kept
don't-
screaming, "The best, the best."
Yeah, they're
the
good-
best.
good
over and over
wrestlers,
again. I'm like,
but-
dude, shut the fuck up.
Yeah,
What are you
horrible.
talking about?
Nobody can even see you right now. What are you talking
Why
about?
are you screaming? Yeah.
Yeah. PPW is going to have an Impact show.
Two of them, actually.
two of 'em.
Saturday and
Two of
Sunday.
them, Turning Point and Overdrive. We're looking at some people on the show here. It's going to have
Rob Van Dam's. He's the Saturday show.
Yep, Saturday
That's
show.
his name.
Brian Cage.
Michael Elgin.
Yep.
I think they're on both.
Sammy Callahan, Willie Mack, Madison Rain, Rich Swan, The Rascals, Moose Eddie.
No, Eddie Edwards.
Eddie Edwards.
Yeah.
It just says Moose Eddie. I don't know.
Moose and Eddie Edwards.
Yeah.
Moose is the guy who used to be in Ring of Honor.
I'm actually most excited to see Willie Mack, honestly.
Willie Mack.
Willie
is-
Mack's great.
He's so charismatic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And for a dude his size, being able to do standing moonsaults and everything that he does, he's a cruiserweight in a heaviweight's body.
Some of the guys are going to be some are going to be Saturday and some are Sunday, and some are both.
Isn't Impact doing a pay-per-view? Isn't Bound for Glory or something this weekend? I think it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, Bound for Glory is
And
this Sunday.
Moose is actually going to be wrestling Ken Shamrock on that show.
Yeah, that should be something else.
Ace Austin and Eddie Edwards, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I wonder why Ace is
Yep.
on those two shows because it's not like Ace drive far. Unless he is, I don't know. They have
Ace
not
is-
announced any
Ace
matches
is,
at all.
What, about an hour away from us?
Yeah, he's somewhere local in Pennsylvania. But I mean, they have
Shillington?
Even in our like,
Shillington?
I think I'm not sure.
Somewhere down that way.
Yeah, even in our like the PPW chat, there's no matches announced. There's no names.
Over here
actually.
trying to dox Ace Austin. Oh yeah, he's in this little town.
Yeah, yeah.
Andy Header
He lives
versus
in-
Sammy Callahan.
Yeah, I don't want to wrestle Sammy Callahan.
Why not?
I'd rather wrestle Rich Swan.
Really?
Yeah,
That would be good.
Yeah.
That would be really good.
That'd be good.
or Ace.
What about
I
RVD?
mean, Rich Swan.
RVD. Yeah, I mean,
Rich Swan with
RVD 's
his
not
like
where he was,
goofy
but
antics
that'd be
and
awesome.
Andy's goofy antics. I mean,
Yeah.
dance off in the middle of the ring.
Plus, I know him from ACW years ago.
He did.
Yeah, and he
did
said,
say,
he said, if I come back, let's work. And I was like, all right, let's do it.
say, hey, Rich,
Yeah.
tell me that you want to work with me.
Yeah, so who knows?
That'd
I don't
be
know.
awesome.
They didn't say anyone who's on the PPW side who's announced yet.
Yeah.
So
But this weekend we have the main event, which is the
Austin Aries.
double Austin Aries taking on Clutch Adams.
Yeah.
The less than popular Clutch Adams.
Yeah.
I think that's a successful title defense there.
So Andy made TV over the weekend.
Yeah, how about that? Fox
Yeah.
56
Yeah,
for
that.
True Wrestling's first show. We were actually the dark match. You had to pay extra to get the bonus thing.
Yeah.
The prime
And I was
time
like, oh, that
news.
sucks. So not everyone's here, but we made the news. Nobody else did.
Fox 56 paid extra for you. That's
yeah,
right.
that's right. I didn't even know they were there. I didn't see them at all recording. or
Really?
anything. Yeah.
Match
was pretty good,
They
though.
interviewed the True Wrestling guys, and boy,
Yeah, Sean. Yeah, Sean
got-
has that.
they got to work on their mic skills.
Yeah, I think Sean was ring announcing. He sounded good.
Did he?
Yeah.
What is he
'Cause
no longer wrestling?
No, he not really. Yeah, but Paul Bell was doing a football game, so he couldn't.
Wait, Paul Bull does football games too?
Yeah, he does. He's a big time. That's like I think that's his main job actually.
Yeah.
A sportscaster?
Yeah, he's an announcer and then a commentator for
Yeah.
like some. He does a bunch of local high schools and stuff.
I think I need
All
to
right,
get in touch
so-
with Paul Bow.
So we'll kind of go into the night one of the draft because it's kind of here. So I just want to get into it. So Raw and SmackDown can.
The draft.
I have the draft list here if you want to.
Yeah, so let's go over night one.
Can we talk about?
You mean
Raw?
the list they went right down the order?
Yeah, they spoiled their own draft.
Yeah.
And this whole thing is just one big mess.
And it didn't not really much change when it came to superstars going to each show. Like they didn't really shake much up.
I'll be honest, I forget who's on what show. They're
It
all
was
on.
literally like, I'll give you him for him, and you take these two, and I'll take that
Okay,
one.
so the first thing, the war rooms are fucking stupid.
I
They were
hated
so
it. It was
cheesy.
so
I
stupid.
thoroughly enjoyed the NFL football robot in the background.
God.
Just-
I'm glad you did because I thought it was
Nobody
stupid.
else. I thought it was stupid. I thought it was CG'd at first. I'm like, wait, there's a big robot. No one's mentioning there's a big robot right there. Like, what the fuck?
I mean, I was chuckling out of my head. The
and
football robot.
It takes 10 people that have never been seen before to pick people for Raw and SmackDown. What do they even know about wrestling? The one guy computer is facing the screen and there's a peacock on it.
That's why it made no sense, yo.
I was like,
They
what's-
didn't do
so
it
they
like
took
a,
Dalton Castle?
Yeah, I was like, what the?
they didn't do a sports draft, yo. It wasn't like Stephanie should have went up one at a time and announced the picks. It didn't make sense that they're like, okay, Raw wants AJ and then SmackDown wants like they went down 5 people. How the hell could you draft like that? That's impossible because you would never know who the hell the other Browns.
Yeah,
would take
yeah. So
first.
if Raw picks
so
Roman,
it's
right?
completely impossible that would happen. If
Yeah,
that's true.
if Raw picked Roman and then SmackDown picked AJ. Okay, so the third pick, would be, let's say Raw wants Seth. Well, what if SmackDown wanted Seth? You know what I mean? You know what I'm
I
saying?
guess their idea.
You can't.
I guess their idea was they made these picks behind the scenes, and then Stephanie came out and announced them. But still,
It makes.
It still don't work.
and then the XFL draft, like a real legit football draft, they did that this week too, and they had 90 seconds between picks.
90 seconds.
90 seconds. Yeah.
And
Who do you want?
Did you see the list of players for the XFL?
No.
There's maybe
Former Chargers great Cardell Jones is on your DC Defenders.
Yes. I don't know what that does for me, but
And a bunch of guys used to play for the Eagles.
What do you mean Charger great? He was never a great with us.
That's the joke.
But there was maybe 15 to 20 actual NFL players on that list, and I think the highlighted player was Connor Cook, the former Michigan State quarterback.
Yeah, they assigned some quarterbacks to teams. Like Cardell Jones got assigned to the Defenders, and this became a sports podcast all of a sudden. Right?
I think Connor Cook was actually the first pick, being like that big quarterback.
Connor Cook's a good wrestling name.
That is, yeah.
That's a guy.
yeah. But the thing is that WWE tried to make it look like a legitimate sports show now, and it looked terrible.
It looked like Saturday Night Live spoofing it.
Yes. Here's the problem that I
They're
have.
like, we got Roman. Yeah, they wouldn't do that.
Yeah, when Fox took over UFC,
Yeah.
to me it was a huge step backwards because you had like Terry Bradshaw and who's the
Terry Bradshaw is a fucking idiot.
And who's
every time I heard him talk, I know he knows about football.
Who's the
but
black
that,
dude that always did the UFC? But he does football and he did UFC.
Oh,
He's like always there with Terry Bradshaw and that
Mike Tirico?
whatever his name is. He would do all the UFC stuff too, and he'd be like, "Oh, well, here we are, Fox Sports," and he was like clearly the NFL guy.
Yeah, it was Kurt Menefee.
Kurt Menefee.
Kurt Menefee.
Yeah,
Who's actually going to be calling XFL games.
well, at least it's football. Which
Yeah.
is,
So is Pat McAfee.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
100%
But
okay with that.
this guy would go and talk UFC, and they would have like Aaron Andrews and stuff doing like, and they clearly know nothing about the sport, and they were just literally like, I really hope DC does a good job with his left-right hook combo. Over to you, UFC guy, who clearly knows more about this than I do.
Like, what a waste.
And it looks stupid
You're
because
better off booking Morrow.
yeah, because
No, you're not.
these people don't know what they're commentating. They don't know what they're talking about, and it comes off really bad. And when the UFC was supposed to be now taking a more legitimate step, to me as a fan of mixed martial arts, it took a huge step backwards because they were just there because they were the name. But you can tell like literally when UFC would cut on and turn on, it was da-da-dun, da-da-dun. It was literally the football.
God.
It was the football music.
They just have their own music.
Yeah, it was terrible. It was absolutely terrible. And
Bring back
that's
that old NBA music.
yeah, and it literally turned. That's to me what SmackDown now looks like. It's like, oh, let's copy and paste what works for football and just try to make it look like a wrestling show now.
Yeah.
And it comes off terrible. Like they literally would cut to a studio with football guys or soccer guys, and they'd be like, let's insert random stuff about wrestling right now.
I think Charlotte is a good pick because she's a good wrestler.
Yeah. Back to you.
Yeah. Like, what a waste.
Speaking
Why
of
pay
which,
that
did
guy?
you see the Twitter picture of her and Andrade this morning?
No.
Andrade tweeted a pic out. I guess they just woke up and was like, I'll even love you with no makeup on.
What guy would not say that to his girlfriend?
Yeah.
I mean,
she actually been on
that's
camera.
a fight waiting to happen.
She's been on camera more or less with no makeup on. She's doing this more like natural.
yeah,
look
which
than she-
I don't like.
But yo,
I don't mind it.
speaking of Fox though and them doing this shit, they did that like cutaway to like Terry Bradshaw and like all these other football players, and like, who would you guys draft first with the number one pick? Each one of them
Hogan.
each one of them picked a dead guy, yo. Except I think like one of them picked Hogan.
Yeah.
But everyone's
awesome.
like Andre, and it's like you can't even pick a guy that's on the goddamn roster right now.
Yeah.
Like help out the brand, dude. Like
Yeah.
fuck.
Yeah, at
Yeah.
least give him a piece of paper.
Yeah,
and say,
exactly.
Say
Just
this name.
Yeah, you don't have to know who it is.
Well, they kind of did when they were not like everyone said Seth Rollins.
Yeah, but like, why?
Like, boy, I would take
Why-
the big dog.
Why
Roman
waste the
Reigns.
money for all that? They should do like how they used to do, have everybody in a room, and then they had the live reactions.
And they
You're
had
on
the,
SmackDown.
They had the same cutaways for SmackDown, and they used the same exact cutaways for Raw. They didn't
Yeah.
change it. It was like, dude, you couldn't even get two cutaways. Jesus Christ!
Yeah, it was the
like, You had
same.
to use the same exact cutaway. Like, holy shit!
And why would it take 10 people in a room to pick one person? Like, wouldn't there be one figurehead to do
Well,
that?
realistically, in NFL, a war room for the
Yeah.
NFL draft is huge.
But like,
There's about 20, 25 people in that room.
Yeah, they made it. That's what they were going for, but it just looked goofy. You have a guy painted up like
I
the
understand
Ultimate
for
Warrior.
a team, but for wrestling, you'd be like, you don't need that. There isn't a whole team that is running Raw. It's
Yeah.
Vince.
I liked it back when they would wrestle the match and then like, oh, SmackDown won the match. There goes the randomizer and it just
Oh, okay.
flashes a name.
It was horrible.
And you know,
And even though it was still predetermined, it still
I
looked
didn't get
better than
this.
what the draft really did.
Seth and Roman had a match that got ruined, but the winner was supposed to get a draft pick.
yeah,
Well, they weren't drafted, so who would get the pick?
it went to the show.
Yeah,
so
but-
Roman
but-
represented SmackDown.
But they weren't drafted. But then they got drafted,
Yeah,
which that made no sense.
exactly.
They should have been drafted first and then had the match.
I had no idea why champions were even picks.
I know.
Champions should have never
And
been
let's
picked.
If
talk
you're a
about-
champion, you should be on that show. There's no arguing, no fighting.
Yeah, if you're a world champion or the tag champions, you're walking around with a giant red belt, but you're gonna go to SmackDown.
Yeah.
like no.
If you were the council, the pick, wouldn't you just pick? Okay, we want Brock and we want Seth. Like,
Yeah.
would that be your first two picks?
Yeah.
And
Well,
then
the only
Charlotte.
ones that are allowed to roam now
And
are the
Becky.
women's tag team champions and the 24/7 champions.
Let's talk
Yeah.
about that pick.
We'll get
How
there.
retarded is that?
Yeah, we'll get there.
I don't know. I shouldn't say that, but
hey,
yeah.
hey,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey. We said it last time.
What?
What?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, it was just silly. Like, I just think the champion should have never even been picks. It was stupid to even do that.
if you have a belt, you're stuck.
Huh?
If you have a belt, you're stuck.
Yeah. And unless you're
Yeah.
gonna be like, oh my God, Seth Rollins just got drafted to SmackDown, and everyone's like, well, what does that mean? Well, now he gets stripped of his title.
Yeah, it's a vacated title. Yeah.
Then you would have been like, oh my God, this is actually something that worth watch because now something has
Something,
physically
yeah.
changed.
Oh
You know
my
what I mean?
God, Brock Lesnar to Raw. Swap titles.
Yeah.
Swap titles.
Not even swap titles. Their titles now.
Because again, they can't swap titles because the Universal title's red. Like if it was the
Yeah.
world title,
Like I
yeah,
said,
it'd be-
swap titles.
You know,
Yeah.
just
So that would be the only thing that would actually keep you interested. It did nothing to interest you to tune into the next night. I know their strategy where like, oh, I wonder where Brock's gonna go. Like, guess where?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I mean, if Seth Rollins goes to Monday Night Raw, it's almost guaranteed that Brock Lesnar, he's going to Friday.
well,
Night
that's the
SmackDown.
problem too. The draft pool thing was stupid as hell, but they had to do that because they knew if they did all the all the big picks on Friday, nobody'd watch on Monday.
Yeah.
And it was
know?
funny how all the relationships and couples
Yeah.
Are now on the shows together.
Which,
Yeah.
you know, not everyone knows that, so that's okay. But they
Yeah.
should have went right down the list. I
They're
mean,
like Charlotte to Raw, and I'm like, guess where Andrade's
Yeah.
going?
Yeah. And that means Selena's going, which means
Selena
Black's
Vega to
going.
Raw.
Yeah.
Aleister Black.
Yeah.
Next
Yep.
round.
Yeah. And then
They should have just had family picks. We're taking the Charlotte
Yeah.
family.
Yeah.
with
And then-
Charlotte comes Andrade for no reason.
And then they did the whole Carmella's going to SmackDown, and they're like, I wonder if Corey Graves is going to be happy. Like, you really have to put that out
Yeah.
there?
Yeah.
Like, who cares?
They're not on screen as a couple.
Even
so-
when she comes down to the ring, he doesn't even say
He
nothing.
doesn't
Like,
mention
here's
it,
my
yeah.
girl.
Yeah, which he shouldn't.
He's still saying Mandy Rose is the hottest woman on the planet
Yeah.
while his girlfriend's in the ring.
Yeah.
I did love Joe's little dig at Renee Young though. Like somebody's got to keep food on the family's table.
I'm glad somebody else caught that too.
Yeah. Honestly, I liked Renee Young and Corey Graves together. I thought they were just finally starting to get a chemistry, like picking on each other and not bickering and bantering.
No, that was
I thought it
terrible.
was more cat and mouse or cat and dog like that.
They got to the point where they were having more fun with each other. Like they would literally make each other crack up on camera, like on mic, and you'd hear it, and it would be funny. Like, and then they finally got that rhythm, and they're like, scrap it.
The funniest thing that ever came out of WWE commentary was one time Byron Saxton made a bad joke. I think the Hardy Boys or somebody were coming out. And Michael Cole just deadpans, Byron, nobody likes you. And
I don't like 'em.
everybody broke.
Yeah. But yeah, so it's, I'm just trying to think of anything interesting on Raw. I mean, there was really nothing on Raw or SmackDown for the most part.
Well, I thought Seth and Roman wasn't bad at first, and then
No.
Screwjob finish. I'm like,
Yep.
And then Becky versus Charlotte wasn't bad either. It was just the whole middle of the show sucked.
Yeah.
That was what, a 35-minute match to open the show, Becky and Charlotte.
No, that was the main event.
That was the main event, yeah.
Yeah.
And then the only other thing that was like, I guess you could say that was worthwhile talking about. Well, that it wasn't even. It's not a good thing that not worthwhile in the fact that it was good. But after you got that stupid war room, and you're like, man, that's really terrible. They can't get any worse. Then they cut to another panel of superstars who made you try to talk about those picks as if they were relevant. You're like, we don't care. Like, and some of the picks that came out. Do you have a list of the actual first round picks?
And then Samoa Joe sitting there waiting to get drafted.
We can bring it up. It's
drafted.
on the page.
I have it.
It was like,
Okay.
I got
Let
drafted.
Brian take it.
So day one, Friday, the first round, Becky Lynch is the first overall pick.
All right,
Okay,
makes
to
sense,
Raw.
yeah.
And then SmackDown takes Roman Reigns.
Of course.
Raw. Oh, sorry.
Right then, it should have been Brock Lesnar, right? Okay, we can't get the world champion.
Well, you can't
but we
because
get
he was on the next. He was on the next round.
Oh, that's
of
right.
He
picks.
was in
Okay,
the
okay,
next.
okay,
He was in the
okay.
next.
That's
pool.
why they did the polls,
Okay,
because
which
if
makes
not,
sense, yeah.
then on Raw you're just picking like the B team.
except going down the order of how they raced.
Yeah.
The third pick was by Raw. It was the OC, so they got AJ, Gallows, and Anderson all
So they
together.
got 3 picks at once, pretty much.
And then SmackDown got The Fiend, Bray
Okay.
Wyatt. And that first cycle of picks, the final one was Drew McIntyre.
And I think that was a great pick for the first round for Raw.
I don't.
Wouldn't you pick somebody that's
Why
more
was
relevant?
Why was it a good pick?
Drew McIntyre is one of those guys you can throw into any style of match. Like, hey,
Then why did Joe fall to almost the last round?
with Joe in the
Well,
first
Joe's
pool?
hurt, so that's the only thing.
But if you're looking at it like it's real,
Where's Drew?
yeah. If you're looking at it like it's
Drew
real,
Drew's out having surgery.
like I said, well,
Samoa Joe fell far.
Kevin Owens should have been in Drew's spot. Kevin
Exactly.
Owens should have been that pick.
He's active. He's there. He's doing something.
or even Rusev, Bobby Lashley, someone that's around.
Well, Rusev went pretty high the next night.
They justified it by saying, "Oh, well, Drew's a future world champion." They've literally been saying that since the first episode he came back from
Yeah.
NXT. They've been saying that
Then
since.
stop
then.
jobbing him out.
I just don't think. I just think it was a good. I don't think it was a smart pick.
I think I
It,
would
it doesn't make sense.
Was Charlotte available to be
Kayfabe-wise, it
picked?
doesn't make sense. It
Yeah.
doesn't make sense that Drew
Okay.
would get drafted that high. It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know?
And no Ronda.
No Ronda draft.
Yeah, she wasn't in the pool.
Yeah.
Then the second set of picks, they did 4 that night. Second set of picks, Raw had the first one. It was Randy Orton.
Smart.
And then SmackDown got Sasha Banks.
That's legit.
Okay.
Ricochet goes to Raw right after that.
Not a bad pick.
Yeah.
And then Braun goes to SmackDown.
Not bad.
And that set us finish out with Bobby Lashley going to... And that's where I think they should have Kevin Owens get picked. Bobby Lashley.
So I still think
Goes
I would have
to,
put
Raw.
I would have put Kevin Owens with McIntyre.
I would have flipped Ricochet and Braun. I think Ricochet would have been better on SmackDown for the time being, trying to help that Friday night.
I think Heyman was pushing for Ricochet.
That was one of the guys.
Heyman wanted Ricochet in the worst way,
Him
but
and Aleister
me
Black.
personally, I think you could have left Aleister Black on Raw, which would have been a great way to kind of compensate that.
But he's on
but
Raw,
to put
I think.
But to put Ricochet on SmackDown just to help build up the Friday night audience a little bit with something a little flashy would have been all right.
SmackDown is literally going to be a superhero show.
Oh,
Yeah,
SmackDown,
SmackDown
got,
wants all the big dudes.
They got Lucha House Party. Ooh, who cares?
Yeah, they're going to be squash matches every time they're there.
If they're even on.
Paul got what he wanted though. He has a whole entire roster full of workers. All the dudes. Can
Raw's
bust
gonna be
their
the
ass,
better show.
You know, yeah, it should be.
It should be on paper. It should be.
Yeah, it should be.
Next.
So yeah, then the next set of picks.
And this is where it gets goofy because as we saw, get goofier. Because as we mentioned earlier, like the OC all gets picked together. You could pick tag teams together.
Yeah, here we go.
Here
So
it comes.
the-
Here it
the-
comes.
the
This
top
is the
pick of the
stupidest thing.
Here it comes. Is Alexa Bliss.
Which okay, you get Alexa, but if you get
Two
2
Raw.
for 1,
Right.
wouldn't you get 2 for 1? That's like going to the store and be like, "Hey, buy one get one free." I just want 1 bag
And-
of chips. Don't give me 2.
And then come back 15 minutes later and be like, you know what? I'm going to pay full price for the other bag of chips.
Yeah, and then I'm gonna bring them back, but give me something later. What the
For
hell?
a snack to be named later.
Like what? That just shows that we're all a bunch of idiots, right?
Well, yeah. Well, when they first did it, when they first picked Alexa, I'm like, oh, okay, she's going to Raw. That means Nikki's either not going to get drafted.
Yeah, or
I
go to
thought that's what
SmackDown.
they were going to do, or go to SmackDown. I thought they were going to have a thing where, like, she goes to SmackDown, and it's like, Raw didn't want me. I have a chip on my shoulder now. But no.
Well, I think that was when people found out that they were going down the list.
Yeah.
So they had to change it slightly.
So, yeah, they did, like, kind of move the picks around. Lacey Evans goes to SmackDown right after that.
That was a good idea.
And then Kevin Owens finally off the board to Raw. SmackDown, oh my God, they took the SmackDown Tag Team Champions. Surprise, surprise, the Revival. And then Natalia was the one that closed out that round. We just keep going to the next one.
Now, what was Nakamura available in the first?
He was
draft?
Raw.
Because he's an
Drafted
Intercontinental
on Raw.
champion. So
Yeah.
and who's the U.S. champ? I have no idea.
AJ.
Okay. Yeah,
So AJ was part of the
okay.
OC.
So you're
pick.
AJ's champion. I mean, obviously, even if AJ wasn't your champion,
Wait, you pick AJ
you
and
still-
Daniel Bryan's Daniel Bryan.
and you still get
He
three.
was the next one.
He was the next one.
I mean,
You still get
granted,
3 picks with that one team.
Yeah. So why wouldn't you?
granted, if you wanted to change the U.S. title and the Intercontinental title, it's not a big deal to
Yeah.
move shows like that. But to
Look at that
move
list. They
should've-
brand-specific champions,
They
is
should have
tough.
put like a stipulation in there where if you have the opportunity to draft a 3-stable team and you choose to break them up, you get an extra pick. Just so it
something like
kind of
that.
like you need to keep some type of mystery. They're like, I think something's gonna like nothing shocked anyone.
I want to take Kofi Kingston and then take the collective group of Big E and Xavier Woods.
Well, that's kind of what Raw did because this next set of the last set they did on SmackDown, the first Raw pick were the Viking Raiders, and this was before they had the
Tag team title
Tag
match.
team titles. Lucha House Party goes to SmackDown next. Raw takes Nikki Cross when they could have just taken her with Alexa. So
Yeah. So they wasted a pick essentially. Right there, it's already.
So Lucha House Party is now SmackDown.
Yes.
Okay.
See, but that's the whole thing that doesn't make sense either. Like, they drafted Lucha House Party when they could have drafted guys like Cesaro. So if there was a real draft room, that means 10 people in a room sat there and like, you know what would be cool for the show? Those 3 dudes who always job out in masks.
Yeah.
That you never see.
Yeah, dude,
Yeah.
that would be
I
great.
want the best show
Yeah,
Let's
I
get
want the best
them
show possible.
before,
So,
like,
like, what about this guy? He's over there at bench press like 800 pounds. Like, fuck him. He's boring. He's
You know
talking
what?
5 languages. He sucks.
He wears
As this-
braces. What a weirdo.
Yeah, he's a grown man with braces. Nah.
As the executive for
Even he just-
Fox
he
in
just
this
got 'em
draft, I would like to select the entire roster of 205 Live.
and then after that, and these 2 weren't even in the poll. They were supposed to be drafted on Raw. SmackDown takes Heavy Machinery. And then the last pick they made on TV was Raw taking the Street Profits. And then your undrafted people for that night, Raw wound up getting EC3, Eric Young, and Sin Cara. SmackDown wound up getting Apollo Crews, Drew Gulak, Heath Slater, Tamina, and the B Team.
the people we don't care about.
But all of those the Lucha House Party got picked over.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what's funny? Like
Drew Gulak
Yeah.
lost the Lucha House Party.
and then they
And
switched
Drew
that.
Gulak's beat the hell out of the Lucha House Party for the last 6 months.
That draft pool, they already edited it because I just tried to pull it up, and they put it in alphabetical order.
Yeah,
It's like, what
it.
could you do at the beginning?
Once
Uh,
people realized it, they changed
But
it. But it's so funny because Chad Gable had a match on that SmackDown. He faced Baron Corbin, and he didn't get drafted. They watched him wrestle Baron Corbin and like, fuck him. Lucha House Party.
Yeah.
Like, Chad Gable was like, what do I got to do? I just wrestled a giant, and I won.
Technically, his name isn't even Chad anymore. Shorty.
Yeah, Shorty.
Shorty
it's
Shorty
terrible.
Gable.
It's
Yeah.
terrible.
Because Vince
And
is like, I'm a genius. This
he's
is
as
good
tall.
shit.
He's
This
as
is
tall
good
as Daniel
shit.
Bryan.
Yeah.
Taller than Rey Mysterio.
Yep.
But
they don't care.
I'm actually happy for Heavy Machinery. I think going to SmackDown and putting them in a decent situation is going to be.
They've
good
been
for
on
them.
SmackDown.
Weren't they on
Yeah.
SmackDown? I mean, I know they were floating.
Well, they were
but it's
floating
hard-
back and
it's hard
forth,
to
but
remember.
still.
No. All right, cool.
But I'm looking at the first pool here, right? And it's like of who you would pick realistically, because Seth now, yeah, Seth now wasn't on the draft pool.
He was on the second pool.
Yeah, okay. So wouldn't you pick Roman first because he's like
He was.
or Becky?
I think Becky makes sense
yeah.
going first.
Okay, the 1, 2, and
Well,
then
Becky went first. It's
trying to
weird.
get the
It's
champions.
weird how
Then
the
AJ.
1-2 pick were the two covers of your video game too.
Oh yeah, how about that?
No, I didn't even realize that, but yeah.
But then
yeah,
you would pick
right.
AJ, and then you would pick the SmackDown Tag Team Champions, right? Because I mean, if you're going, because hey, they're champions. Even if you're Raw, let's get those champs.
So who was in that pool that was completely not drafted at all?
They were the Gulak, Apollo, EC3.
So they're on the table for anyone right now.
Sonya and
free
Mandy.
agents.
No, yeah, they got.
They got drafted, but like they got drafted after the show was over. They were like free agent picks almost. Like it was stupid.
They signed with
So
the
the
show
only
of their
guys
choice.
who moved over next were Cesaro, Chad Gable, Humberto, whatever his name is.
Humberto Carrillo.
Yeah, they got
Apollo
drafted
Crews.
on Monday, but they didn't get drafted on Friday. They just moved them over on Monday, and all of a sudden they were in that draft pool. Like it made no sense.
Yeah.
And Cesaro didn't get picked again.
Yeah, and Sonya and Mandy. It's like what?
And Cesaro wound up on SmackDown, but he was like an undrafted free agent.
So he's on SmackDown.
Yeah, he's on SmackDown.
So my one of my things I said going into this, I said I think because they're trying so heavily to say and be like an NFL makes a big deal of a undrafted guy who comes in and he's like the Tom Brady all of a sudden, where he comes in and he just lights the league apart and nobody wanted him and he's going to be the next big thing.
Yeah, it's this guy in Carolina right now. He's like the phenom
Kyle
of the league.
Allen.
Yeah. So does Cesaro fill that slot?
No,
Probably not.
No, they're probably just gonna bring
all
the
those
bar back.
guys are just jobs.
Yeah,
that's all they are.
So I think someone who was undrafted is definitely going to get a storyline where I was an undrafted pick and here I am.
Usos, they have nothing.
Gulak, maybe?
Yeah,
I
maybe.
can see Gulak.
It's gonna be. It's there. This is just my pick. I just think that is a storyline they're going to try to work in there.
If they're smart,
Dana Brooke.
And
might
they
get
will
that.
they will probably do it on SmackDown because SmackDown's your Fox show, and then that's where it makes more sense to slide in your sports references. And then I think, which I'm excited for because I think this person has a lot of potential. The last pick of the draft is a big deal in sports, where they're like the very, very last person picked, and then that person comes
technically
up.
it's Sonya and Mandy. They were on
No,
the very last.
very, very last pick. It was Mandy Rose.
Liv Morgan.
Was
Liv
Liv Morgan.
Ms. Irrelevant.
No, I'm talking on the supplemental draft or whatever it's
Yeah,
called.
but I mean the very, very last
on TV,
pick
yeah.
was Liv Morgan.
Oh, okay.
So I maybe Liv is going to be the very last pick, but now she's this new character,
Yeah.
and she's, you know what I mean. So I think
Then after the show was over, she put out like a really cryptic tweet.
She's been doing that for
she's
a
been
while.
done forever. It should have got off the pot with this new gimmick. You know?
she's doing this thing where people are starting to think she may be part of the Bray Wyatt
But
stable.
Bray's on SmackDown. But then again,
It
we're
doesn't
saying
matter.
that they're doing Rollins and Bray in a cage
There
on
will-
Raw.
There will be no more. There will be no more fucking crossover between shows. And now we're booking.
and
the guy.
then, but we might do Survivor Series.
But that's what made me so mad, dude. When they had the show that they're booking for Fox Sports 1, they kept saying, "Oh, you have to tune in for the first episode because we're going to do a blockbuster trade." That's what they said, blockbuster trade. So, like, I even asked you guys, like, what do you? Yeah,
Bray,
The obvious thing was Bray because you think Raw would be like, well, we can't risk him losing the belt to Bray and then taking the belt to SmackDown. So let's just give SmackDown what they want for Bray. They could even do like 3 picks for 1 or 2 pick, whatever. But no, they're like, oh no, well, let's just send them Alexa Bliss and Nikki for nothing.
But they didn't even
Yeah.
do a blockbuster trade.
And you,
That's what their blockbuster trade was
The
considered. though.
blockbuster trade didn't even happen on the show. They told you to
Yeah.
turn into a baseball game.
That's what I mean. It happened on that show. It
how
happened after the
dumb.
baseball
Well,
game.
If there would be sports, what team in sports would trade 2 people for
nothing?
Hit me up later. You
Yeah.
owe me.
the Washington Redskins.
Yeah, they would 100%.
Yes.
Sean Gilbert.
Future considerations and cash.
Yeah.
Now here's the thing: do you think they'll ever do anything, or do you think they'll sweep down and
The Redskins, they'll never do anything. Never.
No, not the Redskins. Do you think they'll ever say?
Killing me
Raw
here.
will say, "Hey, give me somebody."
No, no one's ever going to remember that.
Yeah, they're gonna forget.
No one will ever remember the Redskins.
It'll be like
Adrian
when
Peterson is the greatest Redskin ever.
Dolph gave up the United States title for absolutely no no reason.
Yeah.
Remember that?
And then quit and came back a
Yep.
couple weeks later. to
and,
Royal
and
Rumble.
wanted the belt back.
You mean when he allegedly signed with Impact and then
No,
like, a week
he
later was
gave
back
up
on
the
Raw?
United States title, came back a couple weeks later, was the 30th guy in the Rumble, and then got thrown out right away. I was like, dude, he should walk out.
Yeah.
He should quit the company on the spot.
Yeah.
Like, talk about bad booking.
Yeah. So, and then then that's the thing we were talking about too. They literally, their blockbuster trade was 2 people that they could have got for 1 pick anyway.
Yeah.
So they wasted a pick and then traded away for
Yeah.
one.
They only did that for SmackDown because they realized SmackDown did such a shit job in drafting. They only drafted heels for females. They literally only had one face was Carmella, and they were like, shit. So that's why they turned Lacey Evans face randomly on Raw, which was dumb as hell. I don't mind her being a face, but like, at least make it make sense. She just came out. She's like, oh, me and I just beat the shit out of each other. Now we're
And you
best
just
friends.
took one of the biggest faces in all of WWE and made her a
Honestly,
heel.
I wouldn't even like when I was like, man, it sucks that they got drafted 2 separate shows because I think Lacey Evans and Natty would be a cool little tag team to see. Because
Natty should have went to SmackDown. She would have been. I mean, what the hell is she gonna do on Raw? She can do the same thing she's been doing for.
Yeah.
Could have left Lacey Evans on Raw and called it a day.
what's going to happen is Ronda's going to come back and just decimate the whole women's division, and everyone who's on Raw is a casualty at this point. And they don't really care about you.
Well, I think she'll go to SmackDown because Fox wants her bad.
that's what I mean. She'll go to SmackDown and she'll just decimate the whole roster, which
Yeah.
is really nothing. It's all bad guys. So
Yeah,
Ronda goes in and
true.
beats a bunch of heels. No one cares.
Ronda goes to SmackDown.
Yeah.
Where did Asuka and Kyrie go?
They went to Raw.
Are they going to
Did Ember Moon get drafted?
No,
I don't think so. She's injured. She's going to be out for a while.
Yeah.
She's training people at Booker T school now.
Is she?
Yeah, I guess she can train, but she can't wrestle. You know?
The crazy thing is they drafted the Kabuki Warriors to Raw as the women's tag team champions, but they're allowed to bounce from show to show being
Yes.
the tag team champions.
Yes.
And then
I'm
R-Truth
okay
is the
with
only
that.
other person allowed to move show to show.
Yeah,
with
but
the
until they
24/7
lose the title, once they lose the title, they have to stay on their brand.
Yeah.
If they got drafted.
So when
that's
they,
okay.
So that's
if
cool.
and when they lose, they go back to Raw, and
Yeah.
Raw has 2 more pretty stellar women's wrestlers.
Yeah. And I love their new heel gimmick.
Oh yeah, they're I'm glad they're finally getting time.
She doesn't wear crazy different makeup, but Kairi wears like this like darker eyeshadow. And
Okay.
she acts just raw. Like she hit Lacey Evans with a spinning back fist that looked as real as fucking can
She
be.
probably did hit
All
her.
you gotta do is just type Kyrie Hojo Stardom, and you'll see some real
She
hits.
and here's the thing I like a lot of people are like, oh, you're fucking a Lacey, you're just hard on Lacey Evans. I really like Lacey Evans. If you watch her for a female, she works really stiff. She tells people, "Fucking hit me." Like she doesn't back. Like she almost tries to pull her punches with other people, but you can tell she gets in the ring and says, "Fucking hit me."
Well, I don't know if you ever saw her when she first came into NXT. She was green as can be.
She's still green.
Yeah, she's still very green.
Still
I
green.
think she's going to be very good when she gets
Yeah,
out
yeah,
more
but
When
experience.
she
She's
finally
just made
comes
it
into
NXT
her
for a
own,
while.
though, I think it's game on for her. You can, she could be the Charlotte of
I
another
think
show.
if they don't do this route, I think they're silly. But she can literally be your female Sergeant Slaughter.
Well,
With
that's
her-
what I was going to say. It makes no sense that they brought her in as a heel. I guess because she's charismatic,
and
but
she's great at it.
She could have been There's never been a woman's wrestler who was like the Patriot, like Sergeant
Yeah.
Slaughter. Like that could have
Yeah.
been a first time gimmick where she could have got super over as a popular babyface. Like this girl was a Marine, a legit Marine.
Yeah.
You know what she
could
can
have been
do,
big.
which would be fucking awesome. And
a
she
time
can
traveler?
she can still keep her gimmick where she's like a World War II bombshell. You know what I mean? And she just comes out with like a Rosie Riveter gimmick. You know what I mean? She
Yeah,
has the red
yes, we
headband,
can, yeah.
and then she hits the Titantron and fucking flexes, and she just comes and fucking like salutes the crowd and fucking like that'd be great.
I may be the only person at the table that's watched this, but there's a character on Glow called Liberty Bell.
Really?
Bell.
And that's her thing. She's like red, white, and blue, and she's
ladies
fighting the
keep kicking.
Russian.
What's that?
Lady's right under her. I keep kicking her. I'm
Oh.
putting,
This is crazy. She's never done this where
Wow.
she laid under the table with us.
Nobody's paying attention to me. I'm just going to lay here
she
till
has her
one of you
bear.
has
She's
to play
doing
with me.
okay.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So just jump into the picks on Raw. The first match was Becky Lynch and Charlotte.
But before we jump,
Oh,
was there
okay.
anything else Raw wise that
SmackDown.
or
Live.
SmackDown that really? I mean, really for me there was nothing.
The first match,
Bailey's
Yeah.
like fully cementing the heel turn, really.
Yeah.
yeah.
And then Tyson Fury basically
Oh.
establishing himself.
Well, no,
was wrong.
the Bailey thing. I thought that happened. Oh, it did happen.
That happened.
that was-
On,
that was
yeah,
SmackDown.
she cut her hair. She killed.
She
her,
dyed
killed the
her
wacky
buddies,
waving
yeah.
inflatable
Yeah.
arm.
She dyed her hair a little bit blacker, but I think the style's stupid.
I like it.
It's like the slick back. I'm like, no.
Me
It's
and-
not so much slick. It just kind of sits weird. I
Yeah,
think.
It was funny when she came out. I was like, "Oh, she looks good," and my girlfriend was like, "No, that makes her chin look even bigger than it did." And I took a good look at her. I'm like, "Oh shit!"
See, I like her. I'm a fan
Her
of
chin
her.
is just so big.
The only
Oh,
thing,
it's-
if I had there's two things about it that one thing I think it's funny and it'll never happen, but I was kind of joking around. She came out in black and gold, and they put the Bay and then Lee So I was like, "Oh, is Bailey the Undisputed Era?" Like Bailey, like I don't know.
Somebody
The
had
only
an edit where she had the belt and said AEW. I was like, oh,
yeah, and then this other thing is when she first came out, I was like, man, her gear looks exactly like Tessa Blanchard.
Well, no, 'cause Tessa has shorts.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Or
but I mean
underwear.
the color scheme.
Yeah,
Yeah, it was
I mean,
very-
a lot of people were the same.
The only
color,
thing
so.
I'd like to see is maybe a new finisher out of Bailey.
I don't like the belly to belly.
With the heel usually comes a new move.
Yeah,
She got new music. They played it after the match.
it's like heavy metal.
Yeah.
I like that.
I mean, the elbow drop, the Macho Man elbow drop she does would be good, but I think you could give her like a sick heel finisher now and here, run with this.
Here's the problem.
I wouldn't give her an elbow drop just because nobody's going to do an elbow in the women's division like Kyrie's saying,
Yeah.
and you don't want to.
Well, she does as a tribute to the Macho Man. I mean, she does like the point and the elbow, but
No,
I doubt
yeah,
she's going to do that now.
Maybe
Well, she's completely lost her Monster Man jacket. She's not even doing that anymore. It's a straight like
because sorry to cut you off there, but if she does that, it's going to get a babyface reaction because people love Macho Man.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't do that. Plus, Kyrie's elbow is just
Just if
out
they're
of
going to
this
give her
world.
a new finisher, please, for the love of sweet baby Jesus, do not make it a submission. There's too many submission finishers in the women's division.
I hate Aleister Black's new finish. I do.
What
not.
is it?
It's like he goes for like a choke, but he like wraps around the back.
It's a dragon sleeper, but he
was
wraps
gonna say
you
it's a
around the
dragon
back,
sleeper.
and then he interlocks his fingers behind his back and your back like this, and he just wrenches back.
That's all right.
Yeah, I actually
it's
didn't
not as
mind
cool
it.
as
Oh,
Black
sorry.
Mass Kick.
Yeah.
I mean,
that kick looks dynamite
Yeah,
every time. I
yeah.
would not have had him.
The best
get
kick,
rid of that
the
kick.
best person to ever took that kick in my eyes was Cesaro, because he hit Cesaro, and a part of me who's watched thousands of knockouts in MMA, when Aleister Black hit Cesaro with that, unless Cesaro is the greatest actor on fucking God's green earth,
he's quite good.
it hit, and his eyes went literally back in his head, and
The mouthpiece.
the mouthpiece came out, and he literally dropped like. He literally like
if you crumble, it makes it look better.
it looked like you couldn't even train a human body to crumble the way it did without being legitly knocked out like that. Like when he got hit with it, I was like, oh shit, Alice, he's gonna be done for a couple weeks because he 100% has a concussion, and he was back the next night, and I was like, that he's a fucking genius.
That's like Steamboat. Steamboat used to watch boxers, and he would sell punches by watching boxers get hit.
I mean, haven't you seen
Yeah.
Lars Sullivan take the Black Mass kick? Oh,
Whatever happened to him? They just get rid of him?
No, he got hurt again.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
apparently he's
That's the
he's
blockbuster
hurt.
train.
Yeah.
He's hurt, but from my understanding, he
It
also
honestly-
he
came up
sucked.
hot again on another test.
So wait, the next picks go to the next big pick goes to Raw.
It went to Raw again.
Yeah, because they traded Alexa and Nikki for nothing.
Maybe it'll be like the next NXT call up. I don't know. I don't know. What it
Yeah, I
could
don't
be.
know how
I
they
don't-
even handle that.
I don't think this is going to be it, but they got AOP, and AOP kind of did what you were talking about, where they were angry about not being drafted.
What if it's still Bray? Like it easily can still be Bray
But
Wyatt.
would you trade Bray for Alexa and Nikki?
No, but nothing.
Nothing against them, but I wouldn't. I wouldn't
nothing
trade a main
else has
event
made
star.
sense in this
yeah,
draft.
so yeah, it doesn't
And I
make
know
any sense.
Heyman's high on the Street Profits, but for me, I think it was still a little too soon for them.
I don't.
I know you're probably going to be maybe next Monday with the OC attack, and then you might see them make their debut. I still think NXT would have been the better spot for them right now.
I think they're ready, and they're going to get plenty of work on the house shows.
I think right now with NXT, I think you don't want to be a tag team in NXT because you have now NXT is pushing this whole stable thing where it's like stable versus stable with Walter's team and
I think that's going to be
the
the War Games match. It's going to be Imperium versus Undisputed Era.
you don't even
I
know
don't,
that.
I don't think it's going to be two hill teams against each other.
We were talking on the car ride up. I'll let him. Yeah,
Yeah, I think it's going to be. I think they're going to do the old school 4-on-4, and I think
Four
it's going
good
to be
guys.
Undisputed Era against DIY, Finn, and Velveteen Dream.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Because
That's not a bad choice.
yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly what's going to be.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to be a tag team in NXT right now.
Well, I said I wanted to see like US NXT versus NXT UK and like a head-to-head in the War Games, with it being Survivor Series weekend.
Yeah, you never know. But the I was going to say no. Yeah, it still could be Bray, and then I don't think the Street Profits is a bad pick.
They had to be picked by going to the main roster because they've been on the main roster for weeks or
Yeah.
months now, just doing that backstage shit. So now it's time for
And the
them to actually-
backstage should get a little.
Yeah, that's why they finally got attacked on Monday. It's like time for them. We're going to wrestle,
and they're
now.
going to pick a surprise partner.
I think it's going to be John Morrison. That's my prediction.
That would be cool as fuck.
Well, you got to remember
they
when
don't go
they
together,
said
but-
he signed, and then he came out the next day and be like, "Who the hell said I signed?" I'm telling you right now, I didn't sign.
Oh yeah, he did post and said I didn't sign anywhere.
Yeah.
So
He's still legitimate, according to
he
what
shows up
people
on
say. He's a
AEW.
free agent.
Yeah, knowing WWE booking, it's probably going to wind up being like Cedric.
there's no way Jose.
Because there's always this thing with Black.
Cedric and AJ still have that thing going on.
Keep black guys
Yeah.
together.
Well,
Yeah,
no,
yeah.
there's always this thing they always say with black wrestlers in WWE. They either have to be a team or feud.
Yeah,
Like
that's true. Yeah.
they can't just be indifferent with each other.
No, you can't. That's funny. It's true though.
But yeah, Raw did get the first pick on, Raw too because Becky beat Charlotte, and they used that pick on Seth Rollins.
Yes.
Brock
And-
Lesnar's on the board and they take Rollins. So
And
that's
your
interesting.
your only female 10-time champion gets beat 2 nights in a row by a roll-up pin. Just want to put that out there.
And then SmackDown obviously takes Lesnar,
Yeah. Why wouldn't you?
and then Raw takes Charlotte, even though she just lost. SmackDown takes the New Day.
I'll be honest, I did not expect Charlotte to SmackDown to Raw. I thought she would have been SmackDown.
No,
I thought she was going to be SmackDown.
Yes, I thought they were going to try
Because
to
they
keep
were
Becky and her.
all of Fox's promos they cut, and sorry to cut you off, but all the Fox promos they cut where they had like these main dudes on their screen, like this is Fox Sports. The main girl they were showing was Charlotte.
Yeah.
So when they said Charlotte to Raw, I was like, that changes things. Because I honestly thought Charlotte was going to go to Raw, then you're going to get Andrade to Raw, and you'll probably even get Aleister Black. I'm sorry, all to SmackDown. I thought all those picks were going SmackDown. I was shocked when they went to Raw, and I'm happier they're on Raw because I think they're a better fit there.
I thought just because I felt pretty certain that Becky was going to be on Raw because Seth was.
Yeah.
And then I thought they would, because Charlotte and Becky are your two top women,
Yes,
I thought they'd
split
put them
them.
on different shows.
The problem is, who in the women's division is going to take the title off either Charlotte or
Ronda.
we are literally stuck with Becky and Charlotte as champions, bouncing back and forth for probably the next 4 or
from
5 years.
What we've seen, Nia Jax is due back soon.
Never.
Once Bailey took the title off with Charlotte on SmackDown, I knew Charlotte was going to Raw.
Yeah.
They already had Becky, and you know what I mean. I was like, damn, whoever would have kept, if Charlotte would have retained the title, she would have stayed on SmackDown.
Yeah,
because they needed.
It's
you know,
literally
maybe
it's
Bayley
literally
would've
going to be
came
the
to
four
Raw.
Yeah, Bayley
horsewomen.
would've came to Raw.
The four horsewomen are going to hold the titles down on both those shows for probably the next 4 years.
Yeah,
the
you
only
gotta
way
build
it's
some
gonna,
other people up, but
the only
they
way
might
it's going to
not.
change is when Ronda comes to SmackDown. And because I think Sasha Banks cried she didn't get the match with she didn't get that match with Ronda like that she wanted to so they're going to do a whole thing or probably and realistically, it sounds really crazy to even fucking think this, Banks will probably beat fucking Ronda Rousey.
You have to. I mean, you did the whole baddest woman on the planet thing right away, and it worked for the 6 months or so she was doing it.
It's so to me unfucking believable. You can get away with it with the whole Becky beating her in a way because anyone can catch anybody at any time, but she was also in a 3-way match.
and she
where-
caught her on a roll up.
Yeah.
and she caught her in a roll, and it was one of those things where she also had to worry about 3 other people in the ring. But they'll do some crazy shit where Sasha Banks beats Ronda Rousey clean 1-on-1.
But you're going to
I don't-
have
I don't
to.
think
At
so.
some point, you're
I mean,
going
yeah.
to have to. Everybody's beatable.
Yeah, Ronda has to start losing.
Yeah, and that's
Ronda Rousey to Sasha Banks is beatable.
I mean,
But I mean,
honestly, if that's the case, I'm going
Brock
to go
has to
start
lose,
sports
too.
betting on WWE every match that Ronda Rousey
Yeah.
has. I'm going to put $1,000 on Ronda Rousey every week.
Yeah, I mean that's
Sooner or later,
you want to make your show look legitimate. Sasha Banks is not the girl to beat Ronda.
that's
no
what
matter how
everybody
much-
said about Andre. Nobody could ever slam Andre, but look at Hogan. Hogan slammed Andre.
You're looking at a guy with 22-inch or whatever the fuck pythons slamming a giant. I can believe that. I cannot believe that Sasha Banks is beating Ronda Rousey in any universe ever.
Did anybody ever think Ronda was going to get knocked the hell out in the UFC? No.
Yeah. Because anyone can get knocked out.
is it any more believable that Becky would beat her? Do you think?
In a triple threat match, in a triple threat match in those standards, yeah, I can believe
Yeah.
that. And then they built this, unless they do this whole angle again where she comes in and she's so absolutely beat up where she has bad ribs and a bad arm, so it's pretty much like a 50% Ronda Rousey. But that's still, I would still take Ronda Rousey 50% to kill Sasha Banks
See,
at
I
any
think
point. in
Fox
time.
is going to want to book her like a monster. I don't think they're going to want her to lose. I think Ronda will come back and she'll take Storm just like
I
she
don't.
did.
I don't think it's going to be something that
that
happens right away. But I think that's your end
You
game.
think it's going to lead up to that?
I think that'll be your end game. Really? All right. So if you
I would
put,
say Charlotte. But Charlotte will be on Raw.
They'll do a draft again
Yeah.
at some point.
or like even if you move like a Shayna Baszler up, like Shayna Baszler should be the one to dethrone Ronda because they're friends, and she goes, this is more of this wrestling dream is more of a thing for you than it is me. I can believe that. Or if they do like a Rhea Ripley because she physically looks like she could hang in there, but you're gonna give me a 115-pound Sasha Banks. It's gonna.
But you gotta let go of that. I mean, Finn almost beat Brock, and it was believable.
Yeah, you could do
Daniel
the stick
Bryan
and
almost
move
beat
thing.
Brock. In real life, he wouldn't.
in real life, he wouldn't, but at least even in wrestling terms, I just can't.
The same
see,
thing.
I just can't see Sasha
no one's
Banks
seen
doing
Finn
it.
beating Brock. But he
In
ran
real
him to the
life,
table.
Brock would put Finn in a hospital bed.
Yeah.
And it makes me think of what they used to do with Joe in Ring of Honor because he had that big 2-year title reign and then he got rolled up by Aries. And they did a thing where Joe is weak to flash pins. Like if you're going to beat him, you caught him.
Yeah.
Like they made that a thing. And if anybody beat Joe, it's because they did get him in like a roll up or something like that.
Yeah, I don't know. maybe I'm just being too hard on Sasha Banks, but she does nothing for me.
And it's also you can't really worry too much about realism in a show where
world.
Well, no, in a world where one of your like hottest acts is the guy who can teleport and
He's possessed by a demon. Maybe
possessed by a demon.
mind demon. Yeah,
I love it. I still love it. I don't
and you had a dead guy that shot lightning bolts for 20 years.
Yeah.
A time traveler on NXT.
Yeah.
You would have think he knew he was going to get hurt that match. He just wouldn't have showed up.
Who's that?
Kushida.
Well, he didn't know because it happened. I mean, now he knows.
They
He can
said
go
it was a
back in time and change it.
pre-existing injury, just re-aggravated. And
It was a joke because he time travels. I said you would have think he knew he was going to get hurt that match. He wouldn't have showed up.
Him and Lacey Evans should get together in time travel.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel bad for Kushida coming in right now and getting hurt like this, especially when they wanted to push him hard. So now he's going to sit for a month.
What if Kushida just shows up on like SmackDown one day as just like a joke thing, and he time travels and puts Kofi back and makes Kofi Jamaican again?
Well, it's a shame that they fired Archibald Peck because he could do the time travel thing
yeah.
too.
Yeah.
God.
But they have 3.0 though.
Yeah. All right, so we're at Raw. We took a weird turn there.
We had that first.
Kofi.
We had that first set of picks, and the last one was kind of surprising because in that first 5, it's Andrade and Zelina Vega to Raw,
I don't mind that.
and then the second set.
I think Andrade makes more sense because you can do the whole he's the future champion more than you can Drew McIntyre because you physically see Andrade on TV.
Well, they did try to put that over on the commentary that Raw was building toward the future with their picks.
Yeah.
And then they take the Kabuki Warriors at the top of the second set.
Awesome pick.
And then SmackDown takes Daniel Bryan, which is an awesome pick.
I figured he'd stay.
SmackDown?
Yeah.
Well, you need somebody. If you're going to have all these like bigger guys, you need somebody to work with. And you need somebody who's going to pull a good match out of anybody.
Well,
And that's
I think
Daniel
after
Bryan.
all this is said and done with the Roman Reigns storyline, he's going to go back to being the Daniel Bryan, and we're going to get the heel Daniel Bryan that we've been seeing for the last
I
year.
think he's gonna be a good guy now. Actually.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter though because if you're
He's
on
over no matter what.
if you're on SmackDown, you're not gonna that title is gonna be either
it's Brock.
is Brock and Roman. It's just bouncing back and forth between them.
Then Raw.
Unless someone gets super hot, but will they let someone get super hot?
Nope.
I mean, Daniel Bryan's a good third choice there.
Yeah.
He will be. But
If you had Daniel Bryan beat Brock, people would go nuts.
yeah, he'll probably.
I mean, I would love to see Daniel Bryan come flying across the ring, hit Brock with that knee, and just watch the whole crowd
But
go
yeah,
nuts.
you know who's
the,
gonna be world champion? Well, not Bobby Lashley and Cain Velasquez. 'Cause
Probably.
That's what they want.
Yep.
It's like,
Lashley's on Raw, though, yeah.
Oh,
and then Roman will probably be your IC champion for a while.
yeah. Well, he's wrestling Nakamura.
This week, yeah. I would love for them to do Daniel Bryan and Brock and just do the Ben Askren, Jorge Masvidal finish where he just knees him in the head right in the very beginning, catches him, knocks him
You mean what
whoopee.
Sheamus did to Bryan?
Yeah, pretty
Yeah,
much.
He gets it back.
Yeah,
But-
the rumor is that Kane actually might beat Brock at Crown Jewel. And
Is that a
then-
title match?
Yes.
And
Oh,
then
okay.
and then Bobby Lashley will then come up and beat.
he's gonna win the Royal Rumble.
Lashley's
Yeah.
on. Oh, okay, run the Royal Rumble. You
And
can do that, yeah.
Lashley will eventually somehow beat Kane or something.
They were
like that.
saying it for the Universal titles. I don't know if Bobby wins the Universal title or something, but like I don't want to watch.
I mean, we've seen Kane and Brock in an actual fight before, and from what I've seen of Kane at Triple Mania, I think he's more than capable of putting on a match. But I wouldn't mind seeing Kane versus Lashley.
But that's the
in
thing. They're not
octagon.
going to let Kane even be AAA Kane. They're not going to let him be a luchador. They're going to want him to go in there and wrestle and do suplexes and do like
MMA
like all that kind
stuff.
of shit. Yeah. If they let him go out there and actually do luchador shit, that'd be awesome. Now
Yeah,
like
people
take
are like,
Brock by
whoa,
surprise. Brock would be like, what the
whoa.
hell's going on?
Yeah.
I mean, I would love to see Kane do that running step up Rana and just snap one off on Lesnar and see Lesnar be like, whoa, what the hell is this?
Maybe, but I don't see it happening.
Yeah.
I think that match is going to be a disaster. Not as bad as Brock and the Boxer or Braun and the Boxer. That's gonna
Goldberg
be
and
worse.
Taker, bad.
Braun's
Yeah.
gonna get squashed.
Yeah, who does that help?
Braun's gonna get squashed.
Unless that guy signs a contract and wins the world title.
But they could also do a thing where like, hey, Kane learned that move from Ray. They could do that. He's
Yeah,
been working
yeah.
with Ray.
Yeah.
I could see them pulling out a lucha spot.
wow.
I'm just curious to see
is it
where
crazy?
it goes.
Is it crazy on Crown Royal?
I'll take some Crown Royal.
Someone's on Crown Royal.
Yeah,
To watch that
draft.
pay-per-view, we're going to have to drink a lot of Crown Royal.
Yeah,
I ain't
we
watching it.
shit on the last couple ones because like, man, it sucks that they put all these old ass people in the ring, and then when they actually give us like a main event and no one's really super old in it, we're like, can we get something super fucking old in the
Can we
ring?
get
You know what's funny? You
Can
know
we
what's
get
gonna-
Taker
It doesn't
Sting?
help this pay-per-view's on at what, 2, 3 in the afternoon?
Yeah,
too?
like 2 o'clock. But you know what's
On
going to happen,
Halloween.
dude? Tyson Fury is going to catch Braun with a quick punch and is going to like knock him out. That's how that match is going to go. It's not going to be like a wrestling affair.
Oh,
It's
you
not.
are not.
It's gonna
Tyson
be
Fury.
quick.
Tyson
Yeah.
Fury is not taking a bump.
And they're paying
not
him
at all.
$15 million. Is that worth it?
$15 million.
Are they going to
Crazy.
get the investment back off that? No.
Nope.
They'll get WWE on the news. Hey, you're on Fox.
Yeah.
You don't need
You're
it.
on SportsCenter. You're on CNN. You're
you
all over
don't need
Twitter.
it.
All that's doing is promoting his fight that he has coming up in Saudi Arabia.
I mean,
Yeah.
those Saudi shows are basically sold shows.
Yeah.
when Braun stiffed Brock and Brock rocked him, he took a pretty solid punch. So I'm thinking that maybe
Yeah.
Braun will sell it a couple times before the knockout.
But it doesn't help Braun at all.
No.
It doesn't help this boxer because he ain't staying. He's out.
Nope.
But he ain't Mike Tyson.
So what else we have for pick wise?
Speaking of, the Raw was up next. Speaking of Bobby Lashley, the Raw then took Rusev.
Yes.
And that's going to be a feud, obviously.
Which is interesting to me because if they have no intention of using him or drafting him or redoing his contract, I don't see that draft pick.
They have an interest in redoing his contract. He doesn't have an interest in signing it.
I mean, you can't blame him.
They're just doing it to embarrass Rusev and put Lashley
While
on.
we're on this subject, and I wanted to put this in the group chat and I didn't get a chance to, is anybody else slightly disturbed by where they're going
No.
with Lana and Lashley?
Absolutely not.
No.
It
I
don't
mean-
bother me. I think it's dumb, but
Yeah, I think it's dumb.
I
It's
just-
not disturbing.
I honestly, I think the people who are upset or disturbed by it are the same people who are like, man, I wish the Attitude Era was back. And they put something like this and too much, man.
Yeah,
Too much.
I think the only people disturbed by that might also be that, and people are for some reason in 2019 still are weirded out by an interracial couple.
Yeah.
See, I'm just
I mean,
I
I
kind
was.
of like
He's a
in,
black guy with a
in
white
the
girl. I
back
can't
of my
handle it.
head, I
Hey,
feel
now.
for Rusev. I know this isn't
Yeah.
real, but I so feel for the guy because he's getting all emotional in the ring, and I'm like, man, this is fucked up.
And you also know how
Rusev is showing that he can be an actor in the ring.
well, you also know how this typically ends in wrestling too, like the Kevin Sullivan situation.
They
and
break
all
up
that.
in real life. Yeah,
I don't think.
usually.
I don't think. I think they're too
This
strong.
isn't the first time they did this with Lana. Lana kissed Dolph.
Yeah, remember that?
She was in an angle with Enzo where she was flirting with Enzo.
Yeah.
She was flirting with who else? There's
Was it Big E or one? Or no,
No.
she's been with 4 other dudes.
she's been with 4 other guys. Yeah,
Yeah.
she flirted with The Rock backstage, and The Rock was like, "Oh, you're a whore."
Yeah. Or like the Macho Man said.
Yeah.
I did an angle with my wife. Now I don't have a wife anymore.
Yeah, but I think that's
You
the
never
furthest
know.
thing from the truth from Rusev and Lana. I think they're too strong with each other.
Would you want that though? I mean,
If I'm in their money,
if you and Heidi are
100%.
wrestling, no, but would you
100%.
want that storyline over another one?
Sure,
Are you
as
sure?
long as it's Shawn
100%.
Michaels, he's okay with it.
100%.
I wouldn't.
If my wife was as hot as Lana,
Yeah.
if Hottie is hot, but if we were on TV and they're like, hey, your angle is because we don't think you're hot enough for each other, she's gonna go and bang another dude and then may put you over as a stronger guy because you're so angry. Fuck yeah, I'll take that angle.
As long as it's
But
Shawn
what if
Michaels.
there's a better angle? You could be.
Here's the thing: this angle's
You could
gonna
be
go,
Tommaso Ciampa.
this angle's gonna.
I'm gonna pick the Tommaso Ciampa route.
This angle's gonna be over, and then they'll probably get Lana off TV.
So you would
I
agree
don't
to
know
do
what
the
it-
Rusev angle, but would you do the angle with Mike Kanellis where you're a cuck?
100%.
You'd be the cuck. Where you
Yeah,
don't-
100%. It's hilarious.
Like I said, it only makes sense if in real life Mike's an actual cuck and he's like, "Yo, I'm getting paid to live out my
Yeah.
sexual
Yeah.
fantasy."
Yeah, I wouldn't care.
I'm sorry about
But
this,
even
but
him
he's
has-
just in it for the insurance right now till that baby
Well,
born.
he's had enough because he asked for his release.
Yeah, apparently Mike wants to leave, Maria wants to stay. That's where they're at
Yeah.
right
Because
now.
Maria's like, hey, asshole, they paid for your rehab.
Yeah.
They're paying for our second baby. Deal with it.
He shouldn't have re-signed in June.
Maybe in real
Take
life,
the insurance money.
Maybe in real life, she is like, if you fucking leave, we're done because they are paying all of our bills. And he's like, well, I think I'm better, and she's like, they only signed you for me, so get on your fucking knees and kiss my shoe.
It is the reason they signed him.
And I would get it if you're Chad Gable. Mike Bennett's not that good.
No.
Yeah.
He's not.
And I'm not one to sit there and say someone's not good at what they do because I've never done it before.
I mean, when
But-
he was in Impact, they gave him an undefeated run there for a little bit, but it still wasn't
He was
impressive.
better there. Obviously he can do better than what he's doing. But I mean, that's your own fault. You resigned.
Yeah.
It's your own fault.
Yes.
You signed your name on the fucking line. Nobody took that pen, put it in your hand, and said,
and he wasn't being used well then.
Actually, technically, someone did put that pen in
And
his hand
Maria.
and make a sign, and her name was Maria. So,
sign your fucking name.
they're paying. You know how much it is at a baby?
I don't pity him at all.
Yeah.
It's their own fault.
No, they knew.
He's
they knew
a
what they were
very
doing.
solid wrestler, but I don't think he's happy.
I've never really seen him. I heard he was good in Impact and ROH.
He's
but
good,
I've
I
never really
think.
seen him.
In my opinion, he's good, but good's about it.
Let me ask you this, Andy, being the resident wrestler here.
Yeah.
Does happiness matter where you work?
Yes. I wrestle someplace. I'm thinking I don't want to come here anymore because they're.
Would you
booking
take
me terrible.
WWE money and just hang out?
No,
I probably would.
not if I could go somewhere else and wrestle and get less money, but wrestle. Yeah, if I was getting paid to sit there like Zack Ryder and be like, I wish it was a Raw.
See, that's exactly how it is.
I wasn't
it's
on
both,
Raw at
both
all.
worlds. It's either you could be like Andy, where Andy's the kind of guy like, I don't want to just sit here and take a paycheck. I want to actually
Luke
be
Harper.
somebody, you know.
Yeah.
Luke Harper.
Or
Because-
you could be like Tony's, where Tony doesn't mind being Kurt Hawkins and just sitting in the back losing and getting a paycheck.
Because
you know?
I'll chase
at
a
a certain
24/7
point,
title
you're
around.
not going to be able to wrestle anymore, and then you wasted your time.
Exactly.
I mean, yeah, you got paid, but you weren't wrestling.
Yeah.
If you were really good at baseball, you were an awesome pitcher, but they paid you to sit in the dugout.
Well, I also
And you
played,
sat there for 2 years.
I also played school county sports, so I was preconditioned for this.
Yeah, but
Yes.
but like,
It's making me think of Pillman when Bill Watts came in, and Pillman had this big contract that he had signed when he was at the height of his thing with the Horsemen and all that. And Bill Watts came in with the idea that he wanted to cut costs, and Pillman was kind of down the card at that point, and he was more of a lightweight, high flyer guy that Bill Watts was going to phase out. And basically, Bill Watts goes to him, and he's like, "I am not going to push you unless you take a pay cut." He's like, "I will be the highest paid opening match jobber in the history of professional wrestling."
that's awesome.
Yeah.
But I mean, it all depends. I mean, certain people like Zack Ryder, who I think I wouldn't want him on my team because he's just happy being there.
Yeah.
I think they beat that out of him, though.
Yeah.
I really do.
Yeah. Yeah. He's like, oh, I went for the brass ring 4 times and
But
got
why
it.
would you keep re-signing?
Yeah. Because he gets to travel the world and spend money on toys.
But if you care about wrestling, I'm saying, obviously he doesn't.
That's the thing. You couldn't get like a Stone Cold to agree to be a jobber.
No.
Like he didn't even want to put over Brock. Stone
Yeah.
Cold, and even though Stone Cold was like, he's probably the future someday, but I'm not putting him over. He's not going to start with me.
Yeah.
Like that takes some like brass balls to be like, oh, that big giant guy, fuck him. You know.
Yeah.
Do you think there's anyone in the locker room right now who has any pull like some of the old school guys like Shawn Michaels
Probably not.
or The
Maybe
Rock?
Roman. Maybe Seth.
Brock.
Yeah, Brock.
Brock does.
That's about it.
Brock can do whatever the hell he wants, and he knows it.
And Ronda can probably get what she wants, but like,
I would say Roman. I don't think Roman. You're not going to make Roman do some shit he doesn't want to do at this point. He has
Yeah.
such pull already, being such a top guy. You're not going to see Roman be like a mid card.
you wouldn't see Roman in the Rusev.
Even
Lana
with him
angle.
being in the Intercontinental right now, that's just more about that Fox wants him with a title.
Yeah.
Like Fox wants him to have a championship, so they're like, well, we're not going to give him the WWE championship because Brock has it, so
Yeah.
you'll be the Intercontinental champion. And it's the only title he hasn't won yet, so like it makes sense he'd want that title, you know?
No, I thought he had it already.
I think he did.
Oh, did he have the
Yeah.
Intercontinental once?
He's a Grand
Okay.
Slam.
I think he won everything, but like maybe one of the tag.
Here's my thing.
No, he was tag team champion with the Shield.
Well, I mean
Yeah.
Raw or SmackDown. He might not have both.
Oh yeah.
You know?
I know
don't
he
which
was
one has.
United States champion, but
Yep.
if he was Intercontinental champion, I don't remember who he won
Yeah,
off of.
he won it off of.
I do remember him.
He
winning,
is
though.
a Grand Slam champion.
I think he got rid of it when he was sick. For
when
not,
Dean Ambrose and Seth Rollins were doing the angle with the world title, I believe that's when he won the IC, and it might have been from AJ.
Yeah, that's it.
Or was it Miz? Because I think it was Miz. Because I think Miz beat him for the Intercontinental Championship. Actually, now I remember on like one of those Raw anniversary bullshit shows.
Yeah,
I'll
he did. He beat him. Yep.
But if you want to think about it, if you really want to look deep in the roster of people who might have pull to be able to do what they want, I'd say Adam Cole and the rest of Undisputed Era kind of have a nice little grip they have because they know flat out they
I'm
can.
gonna say when they come to Raw or SmackDown, it's like who's these guys?
Yeah,
They're
when they
small.
go to the
Well,
main
yeah.
roster.
But here's my
the
thing
pull
right now
goes
is
to the
they have a
window.
lot of grip in NXT because they know if they want to leave, they can just go right down the street and be like, hey, how much?
I think realistically, and this is not, and I think a lot of guys at NXT have the ability to be like, if I leave here tomorrow, I will get snatched up in a fucking heartbeat.
Yeah,
All they have to do is walk
In
out
this
the door
climate-
at Full Sail, drive 20 minutes down the road and be like, Tony, what's up, buddy?
Yeah. And AEW would gladly take anyone that.
Well, I mean, they're under contract, so that's the one thing that would stop them from
yeah.
doing that.
But I mean, if they fired them,
Yes.
they're not gonna have trouble getting.
So
a
who was
job.
our next pick? We got a little
Yeah,
tangent there.
Rusev was the Raw pick, and then Bayley is taken by SmackDown. Shocker, the SmackDown Women's Champion taken
Yeah.
by
Red
SmackDown.
belt,
And the-
blue belt at a red show.
The champion was taken in the second round. How about that?
Roman did beat the Miz on November 20th, 2017 on Raw.
Yeah, and then you lost it on the 25th show.
Yeah, they lost it not too shortly after.
And then that second set of picks, the last one was Raw taking Aleister Black. How about that? Andrade and Charlotte are on there, and so's Aleister Black.
Honestly, I would have liked to see Aleister Black maybe do a Finn and go back to NXT. I think they have more for him.
I would love to see Gable down there.
I think
Yeah.
Paul Heyman's got some stuff for him.
Yeah, Paul Heyman. There are certain guys that you kept hearing Paul Heyman fought for. The only one he didn't get was Bray Wyatt.
Yeah, which maybe they'll
Which
put him back.
is to be determined
Yeah.
because
I still think Fox had a lot of pull there.
Oh yeah,
saying,
yeah. They both.
I
went
don't
Bray.
think he's going to be on Fox.
Yeah, I think maybe they'll wait till after Crown Jewel and then send him.
I think
and you know what I first thought?
I think he's your Grand Slam.
I thought Bray Wyatt gets drafted for SmackDown, but the Fiend.
That's
gets
exactly
drafted
what I was
to
going to say.
Raw.
The only thing they could do differently is if the Bray Wyatt is on SmackDown, but the Fiend's going to be on
But the
Raw.
thing with Bray Wyatt's new thing is he feel like the Bray Wyatt character doesn't feel like he's strong and he can fight.
yeah, true.
That's his whole thing. Well, I don't want to fight him. He'll hurt me. Like that's
Yeah.
his.
By the way, at the beginning of the show, can we get like a 5-minute moment of silence for Ramblin' Rabbit?
He's like Kenny.
He came back
Dies every episode.
Yeah, he came back.
No, because Bray tweeted out with the Firefly Funhouse, we lost Ramblin' Rabbit.
Well, I guess if it burned down, they all died.
Well, no,
Even Bray.
apparently Abby the Witch and Mercy the Buzzard got out, but Ramblin' Rabbit got stuck in the house.
Yeah.
Does anybody else feel as strongly as me that this really is just them taking, like, they're just shitting all over Bray? I feel like he's the fall guy for the Hell in a Cell being so bad. Like, Vince isn't going to be like, well, it's my fault, guys, because Vince doesn't do that.
Yeah.
He's not going to blame it on Seth because Seth is like the golden child. So
I think it's to be
like,
determined. I have some theories of we'll get that in a minute, but let's get the picks going real quick.
And then speaking of Paul Heyman, guys, third set of picks. Raw's top pick is Cedric Alexander.
Who was high.
Man, he's good.
Yeah, and then
I don't mind that pick.
then SmackDown comes and takes the Intercontinental Champion Shinsuke Nakamura.
Which would have been my second pick after the world champion.
And you also get Sami Zayn with that pick, so it's like 2 for 1.
Oh.
I would have liked to have
they
seen the
didn't-
titles
they-
flip-flop.
They didn't put him on the graph. They had him on the graphic, but it didn't say Shinsuke Nakamura with Sami Zayn.
Yes, it did. Well, it just had Sami Zayn in the
It
background.
just had his picture,
Yeah,
but it didn't say
Sammy
with-
wasn't drafted because
Yeah.
they don't think he's a wrestler.
And then here's your reach. Here's your big
Which is
reach.
crazy.
Raw has the next pick, and
This
they take
is-
Humberto Carrillo.
which is fucking silly.
Over Cesaro.
Over
Sorry to get drafted.
over the next pick they had.
Yeah.
So they literally looked at the board and said, "All right, let's take Humberto. Who the fuck
I hate
knows
that
his
name.
name?"
I hate that
Carrillo.
name.
But
first
then
off.
they're like, "Oh, but we can get this guy neck." Like, if it's a real life draft, right? And I'm looking at the list, the guy who, if I'm Raw and the guy who I get next pick, it should have been way above this fucking Humberto guy. But go ahead.
And he's on 205. He was on
Let me
205.
ask
was,
you,
yeah.
out of 205 Live, realistically, who should have got drafted? Drew Gulak, Cedric Alexander, Buddy Murphy.
Buddy Murphy did get drafted.
Well, yeah, but those are probably the three names that probably deserve
But
to
that's
be
the thing.
drafted.
Like, I just watched everybody's
Tony
heads,
Nese.
and everybody was like, "Yeah, okay, Cedric." Even Cedric doesn't make sense. I like Cedric. Don't get me wrong, but he's getting drafted over Cesaro. He's getting drafted over Samoa Joe.
Yeah.
Cedric's not that. He's
Samoa
okay.
Joe would have
He's
been
fine,
one of my
but come
top
on.
10 picks if I was drafted in real life. I was
Raw's
picking
next
people.
pick, he would have been higher on my list only because, after we'll say it, but yeah.
And that would be Eric Rowan. Eric Rowan, the Raw.
Oh, then I'm going next pick
Ugh.
after
Okay.
You can have that one.
Ali.
Ali.
Oh, yeah, I forgot
Ali
about
was
Mustafa
SmackDown.
Ali.
That was right after.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Humberto Carrillo, and then Ali was taken by SmackDown right
Yeah,
after that.
well, I'm thinking to myself, why the fuck would you not take Ali there?
Yeah.
Like, Ali was the reason Kofi even got a push.
Yeah,
You know
if
what I
you're
mean?
looking
Like,
at
well, Ali
both that,
getting hurt.
Humberto Carrillo and Mustafa Ali, you're like, well, Mustafa Ali, clearly.
Yeah. Which was great. Like, Mustafa, how did this guy get picked over?
Cesaro.
How does this guy get picked over Mustafa Ali? And because Mustafa Ali has established himself as a main player on the main show.
Maybe he did really well at the Combine.
Yeah, that's had to be it.
We need
I
one.
want to know what
Al
Raw's
Davis.
plans are for Eric Rowan.
Nothing.
Yeah, he's separate from Brian. He's separate from Luke
Yeah.
Harper. Well, Luke Harper's on SmackDown.
They're
so.
giving him that small push. They gave him the attitude. They gave him. He has nobody to blame but himself from this point out if his push fails.
On his own, he's a little fail.
We really have no big men on Raw.
Lashley. He's not big,
Yeah,
but
but
tall.
he's just built.
Yeah,
But I
'cause-
mean,
yeah.
you don't really have that type of guy there. So I think he can still do well on Raw. If I have faith in Heyman, realistically, I thought Heyman was going to take over Raw. Our SmackDown was all said and done because like he's going to be there with Lesnar. I thought like, hey, just take over the duties on Raw.
How's that going to work though? If he's going to be too busy scheduling and planning Raw to.
I
gotta
thought
go SmackDown.
I thought they were going to remove him from Raw's duties and give him the SmackDown duties, and then move Bischoff. But then we find out that Bischoff got removed from his duties, and now Bruce Pritchard took over.
Yeah,
I don't
SmackDown's
like
got
that
a
move.
little bit of love.
Love.
I don't like that move.
I don't mind it.
You could have went with anybody in the world, and you went with Bruce Pritchard, who does not have the greatest track record.
Because he's a yes man.
He's a yes man, that's the thing.
only
Yeah.
reason.
I feel
And
which
Bischoff
is-
wasn't.
It's weird to say that I feel bad for Bischoff because like Bischoff literally sold his ranch.
the Peakway.
He literally put all his shit in a car and moved to Connecticut.
Well, they said he kept a house in Wyoming, but I hope he didn't sell it because that was
Yeah,
beautiful. And that DVD,
Yeah,
oh.
that was a beautiful place. But you know, they said everybody was really unhappy, working with him. Like he just didn't act like he cared. He would like barely speak to any, like he was pretty much useless. People kept saying in the background. Like
Maybe-
he didn't even know what the hell he did. Pretty much.
Yeah.
Why not give it to Vince Russo then?
Ugh, that might be even worse.
Because Vince Russo is going to try to be too hands on. He's going to constantly be trying to pitch
There you go.
ideas and all this other shit. Like that's not going to work.
Yeah.
And also, he's not doing a podcast with Conrad Thompson, which is like the requisite now to be a big
Yeah.
shot in wrestling.
But I don't know. I think Bischoff
Who would you
probably
be your
was
long
too
shot
against the grain.
to run SmackDown?
Is that lady again?
Who would you like to see run SmackDown?
Who would I like to see?
Yes.
Triple H.
Yeah,
but they're not going to
work.
put him in a position to fail like that.
I don't think
Yeah.
Triple H even considered the idea with how well NXT is doing.
Here's the,
NXT's not doing well though. That's the thing.
here's the thing.
Not ratings wise, yeah.
If SmackDown does real bad in the ratings, then they'll just say, "Oh, it's all Bruce's fault."
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
see,
Vince will never take blame.
Nope.
Here's
But
my
it's what was in
argument for
charge.
NXT's ratings failing. Now, I record a lot of television. Like, I like a lot of television at night. I have several shows I watch. You're putting NXT on at the same time as some of the big primetime ABC and NBC nighttime dramas. A lot of people aren't going to be like, "Oh, well, I'm going to watch NXT. I'm going to go watch a show I've been watching for the last 5 or 6 years."
Or they're watching AEW.
Yeah, but
And you can watch NXT on the network 2 days later anyway.
Yeah.
I think that's why it's not working on television. They should have made it a 2-hour show on the network and still
They're only
did what you're going to do.
They're only doing it to try to screw AEW.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
not
it's,
really
it's
good.
only counter programming. That's all it is, and it's just not working out because people are more interested in AEW right now. you
Yeah,
know?
because it's new.
Like I said in the chat, NXT is having the better matches. From
Yeah.
top to card, they're having the better matches. But the better shows have been the AEW shows. They're more entertaining from start to finish.
Yeah, I
you know?
agree.
I don't know.
The ratings,
I would disagree with that.
I don't think the ratings are accurate because I think there's still a lot of people that are watching NXT. It's just they're not watching NXT live.
Well,
The same thing with AEW though. People
but
DVR that too. I
they
DVR
don't-
both.
They don't count
I
that
DVR both.
for either one, though.
I think
I don't
this is
think.
my opinion. Oh.
Now, if you take the DVR, if you could take your DVR ratings for the shit it records, I think the ratings would be a hell of a lot different.
They do that.
People
They can do that.
Yeah, it's live plus same day.
Yeah. I think they're both good shows. Now, this is just
Yeah.
my opinion. Now, when I say this, I just don't want people to think you're just a fucking fanboy. You know, you're a fucking Mike Kanell's cuck. No. I think they're both having great shows.
I thought the AEW this week was really good.
I like them both.
It
I
flies by, and I was like, "Wow, we're at the main event already."
Yeah.
Whereas when you
I
watch
think
Raw
they're
SmackDown,
I think they're both great shows, but I think character development and matches are better in AEW. I mean, I'm sorry, in NXT.
well, it depends what match. I mean, overall, I mean, you got to look at only these weeks though, not NXT for the past 3 years.
Yeah.
only for the past.
No, I say
3 weeks.
I say the last 3 weeks. I thought
So whose character development in NXT are they building up besides guys that haven't already built up?
I think the women's division right now in NXT, the race for the title, is better than anything in any division for any championship.
Imagine you just started watching 3 weeks ago though.
Yeah, 100%.
Would you?
You'd
would
be
say-
so
you'd say,
lost.
I see this Japanese girl.
If you just started watching 3 weeks ago, you'd be completely lost.
No,
Like,
you
who the
wouldn't.
hell are these people and what the hell's
Because
going
who's
on?
even like right now?
I
who's,
have
who's
never-
the number one contender for Shayna Baszler?
We don't know.
That's what I'm saying,
That's why I
but
want to
they're not
tune in
making it
next
clear,
week.
though.
That's why I want to tune in next week.
I think it's okay, but I wouldn't say that it's crazy that they're doing this character
You know why NXT didn't or AEW did nothing for me this week? Because you've already told me that Chris Jericho's fighting Cody Rhodes in the next pay-per-view. So this match on TV did nothing for me.
I thought it was great.
development.
It was a good match, but
Yeah.
at the end of the day, we're like, is this really going to happen?
The only way you could have
But no,
swerved
but I
everybody is
mean,
if Darby Allin won that match.
A lot of times you know who's going to win.
That's what I'm saying, though.
I mean, predictability is not always a bad
But
thing.
I think it's like honestly, like I'd never, and this is just I'd never watched NXT week to week. I've never watched. I would only watch takeovers.
Yeah.
I just started watching NXT week to week on these Wednesday nights, and I honestly and I didn't start when it did half the show and half the show. I did not watch that
yeah,
show.
but that didn't count.
I watched the next one after. But I think this race for the women's title is more interesting to me than any other title on any promotion. Men or women. Because realistically, we all know, like AEW is like, oh, cool. It's either going to be one of their heavy hitters. It's going to be like the Jericho or the Cody Rhodes of the worlds. So you know that's going to happen. The women's champion AEW, I can care less. It's probably going to be Dr. Britt Baker next, and
I
she's.
mean, they can't even compare the divisions. Though.
And she
They're
sucks.
women's division.
She's
so
hard.
right now.
Yeah.
The tag team
that's AEW's weakest.
the
spot for
tag team
women's
division, I don't care about.
See, I'm the exact opposite. AEW's tag team division is killing.
I think
NXT.
that's
it's not even
stacked.
close.
Yeah. I
think that's stacked.
This tournament is so much better than anything NXT's doing for the tag titles. It's literally Undisputed Era and nobody else. There's nobody in that tag division.
Yeah,
that touches
Oni and Lorcan and
Yeah.
Biff Busick.
I agree.
That's
That's why I said like the NXT tag team division. You don't want to be a tag team there now because they're not utilizing the tag division.
No,
I mean,
no.
they I'm sure they will.
Yeah.
Yeah, you look at the AEW tag team title tournament, and it's just I've seen, like I said,
Who's winning it?
Lucha Brothers.
Yeah, Lucha Brothers.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's why I don't care.
But that's
unless they throw the
You gotta
ultimate
have a
curveball and you
gotta
get
have
Private
a
Party.
first good champion.
Yeah.
Like if they make a Private Party, like you're gonna look back in that if Private Party fails and be like, oh, they were the first champs. Like
Yeah.
Lucha Brothers have won the belts everywhere they've been.
And then who
It
are they
makes
going to drop
sense.
them to?
Bucks.
Could be the Bucks. Could be the
Jurassic Express.
Could be SCU. Could
Yeah.
be anybody. You know.
Well, it could be anybody, but who's it going to be?
But that's you're running a business.
left?
though. You just
Dark
wanna-
Order?
you wanna just
The Dark
drop
Order
them
could be
to
your long
two
horse.
random jobbers.
Yeah.
The Dark Order do anything for you.
I don't like the Dark Order at all. I mean, they're good wrestlers, but they need a new gimmick.
I like them better as Super Smash Bros, but it is what it is.
There's not someone on that roster as a character that jumps out at me. Like that,
But that's you, though.
I know.
Yeah.
That's why I'm saying I prefer the NXT stuff right now over it. Like I think it's a good show. I think it's interesting. It's still enough. It's still keeping me saying, "Oh, I'll tune in next week."
But think about what they could have did. They could have swerved everybody saying it's Jericho and Cody at Full Gear. Can you imagine what that Philly crowd would have done if Darby Allin beat Chris Jericho clean in that ring? That place would have went insane.
It's too early to hot shot, though.
Yeah,
It's too early to hot shot.
And you really want to watch Darby Allin and fucking Chris Jericho?
You got to build Darby Allin up a little bit.
Yeah, you're gonna watch. Would you even see? Would you make Darby Allin the world champion of any promotion?
Right now.
No,
At 22 years old?
If you
No.
have an indie, yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, yeah.
That's why
PPW Outbreak. He could be a champion.
I like that Austin had that crazy prediction that Darby was going to win. Then in the chat, Austin was like, "You know what? I rewatched that match and Darby's not a star." And it's like, "Yeah, dude, we've been saying that. That's why that prediction made no sense."
They're trying to make him a star.
I
and
said
they
before
did
we
a
went
great
on
job.
camera that it looked like the match got better as Darby Allin's hands got tied
Yeah, it
behind
did.
No,
his
it
back.
did, yeah, because
Yeah.
it made it more like, holy shit, you can still do springboards with his fucking with his hands. That was cool.
It was an impressive showing.
It was impressive.
They got to build these people
It
up.
made Darby look like a star, even in a loss, and that's what you do in that situation.
you
Because
got-
you're not going to have him beat
You got
Jericho.
to think
so-
most people have only been watching these people for 3 weeks.
Yeah, had a little
so
bit of
they
the
don't
bubbly.
know.
And that's where AEW really does have the trump card is that Chris Jericho is a star centerpiece. You could build any company in the
And,
world
and
around
he'll
him.
gladly make somebody else a
But
star.
did he really need to have another guy come out and help him win after he had a guy?
No,
No, that was overkill.
Yeah.
I think that's something that, and I know he's not like one of the VPs, but I think the Bucks and
He has a lot to say.
maybe not Cody, but the Bucks and Kenny and Jericho are trying a little too hard to make it look like they're not being greedy. Where you're the world champion, you should be beating people clean.
Yeah.
Well, I think coming in, Jericho knew what his role was going to be. They were going to give him the title. He knew where he was going to be. He knew what he had to do. And I think that's why the Bucks and Cody and everybody are kind of booking themselves under right now, because they know as long as Jericho has this belt, we have something to run with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, they do. They certainly do. And I think that's the reason. I think,
And
you
And that's why I think Cody loses at Full Gear.
Oh, absolutely, he's losing a Full Gear. Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
You have no choice. You cannot say
Jericho keeps
we're
it till,
starting
like,
this
the middle of
company.
next summer.
We cannot start this company and automatically say, okay, Cody gets the first title belt, and then we go from there.
But
I think he goes the full year and loses it all out.
Yeah.
To Kenny.
Yeah, I can
Yeah.
see that.
They've been pushing him as he's not just the VP, but this is in his blood, and he needs this more than anyone, and he hasn't worked so hard in his life. I don't know.
That's fine.
That's why when he loses, it's going to be a bigger deal to
Yeah.
Cody when he
Yeah.
loses. It's going to be like, damn, I
Because
let everybody
MJF's
down.
there, and MJF's going to turn.
I don't think he turns that soon. I think that's going to be
Maybe
yield
he
up
kind of
here.
does a half
I
turn.
know,
that
but-
picture of them cutting the cake and he has the knife to his back was
Yeah.
fucking awesome.
Do you see the video of him dancing to his music? Brandy was recording it.
No.
I didn't
that
see that.
shit was fucking funny. That's really funny.
I don't know.
I enjoy both.
I like it. I like it, but it just like I said, it feels very. Maybe like to me, it just feels very WCW. Like
Really?
yeah, to me it does.
If we're putting it from like week to week, like for example, when it was Kenny and Hangman versus Moxley and Pac, that felt like a big match to me. When I was watching, I was like, "Oh, this feels like a main event. You could put this on any show."
I thought that match
When
was
I
great.
watched NXT this week, I didn't feel like that. Like even the matches that were great, like when Keith Lee and
I thought they were. I think
they were great matches, but it wasn't like this big fight feel. It just
Yeah,
felt like another
yeah.
match.
It to me this week on NXT was a very like so the way AEW ended last week, where it ended and it set up a lot for the possible future.
Yeah.
I felt that's what NXT was this week, and it not only did it set up, but it made me like, to me. I'm so interested in tuning in next week to see exactly how this plays out, because your Undisputed Era just kicked up a whole bunch of shitstorm trying to act like tough guys.
I just wish they wouldn't start off the show with that. They should have. That should like they keep doing that the last like 2 weeks, where they start off the show with the Undisputed Era and all their angles, and then they have the rest of the show. Like that should be the main event piece, you know?
Well, they did it 3 times. So it started with Undisputed Era giving Ciampa a flash stick. We don't know what's on the flash stick. Then halfway through the show, they jumped Dream. And then halfway through the show, what's his name came
Strong,
out.
which-
Strong came out
yeah.
and interfered. Now he's in the triple. So they're slowly pissing off the authority or the bosses think, and then they're kind of like they're like Motley Crue. They can do whatever they want. And now they're like, oh, you think you can do whatever you want? Now we're gonna now you're gonna have to prove it. You know what I mean? So like now you're starting to set up like, will they lose their gold? They're gonna start going through like you know what I
I think
mean?
that's building the War Games.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Which will
building
be
the War Games.
next month.
So you're building all that up, and then like I said, with the women's division, like that, you have no idea who can go for the title because there's 4 or 5 really solid competitors that I'm excited to see how it
But
plays
on the
out.
same time, you've no idea who's going to go after the AEW title next.
The
I mean, Britt just lost. So, I mean, if you're only watching for the past 3 weeks.
the women's title.
Yeah.
I can care less.
Yeah, but I'm just saying the same example you just said. You don't know who's going to be the next challenger. Same on AEW.
That's because you have no idea who even on the AEW roster when it comes to women because they only do one match a night.
Yeah, but the same thing on NXT. You would
There
only
was
know
3
you
matches.
would know Io. You would know Dakota Kai's there. That she exists and she just came back. You would know Candice is there.
Yeah, because they just did 3
And,
matches.
and, you,
with women.
and you would know that
Rhea Ripley if you watched the week
Rhea
before.
and Bianca Belair. That's five
And then they
girls.
promoted Tegan Knox the week before.
6.
Yeah. So every week you've
Britt
been
Baker.
you've been getting at least 2 to 3
Nyla.
women's matches that have been
Yeah.
building.
Brie
Yeah,
Priestley.
I think the big difference is that the talent differential is just
talent
so crazy.
is much better.
Yeah.
But I'm saying the same thing. You don't. They're
It's apples and oranges.
Yeah.
It really is.
I just
They're
don't
both
see
fruit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just
But,
don't. I don't see like any AEW did not promote to me this giant women's like.
No, the AEW
They went hard.
lacking.
They went hard on tag team wrestling. That's what they're trying to promote.
Yeah, and they're tag team for me right now. Like I love the Lucha Bros, but like if Lucha Bros, it's Lucha Bros and the Bucks. They don't really have another tag team in there that blows your socks. I mean, Luchasaurus is fun to watch, but now that he's hurt, are people going to watch those two every week?
I wouldn't mind.
No, but
like
they're
I
not
said,
gonna
I
have
thought they
that
put
match
on a
every
great
week.
match.
Then they're not going to have Undisputed Era versus Oney Lorcan and what's his name every week either.
Yeah,
I do like the fact that too they are kind of building a little bit, just singling out SCU and
yeah.
the Lucha Bros. But
I mean, SCU is good, but on the same token, like, they're super entertaining. I really like. If there's a team that probably jumps out at me, or anyone that jumps out at me more on AEW than anyone else, it's probably SCU.
But even then, it was a little weird because all of a sudden this week they were baby faces.
Yeah.
They're kind of flipping back.
Yeah.
I don't think they really have a
AEW
designation
thing.
for
Yeah.
AEW. I think they're just going to be SCU.
Because they even do like this is the worst city, and they kind of laugh about
Yeah.
it.
This is why
Well, that's
Tony's
their-
mad because they didn't do that in Philly. That's
That's-
why
that's
Tony's
their
mad
line,
about the
yeah.
tag division.
No, I like
You see,
that tag team. That's probably
I don't think
that's
they're
my
going to do it
team.
in Philly because they like Philly. They truly like being in Philly.
I'm gonna tell you what. I didn't think much of the team with Jungle Boy and Marco Stunt, but that was a good match.
Thank
It was
you.
a good match,
a good match.
but without Luchasaurus there, does that team make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, why not?
I'm not watching a 4-foot guy get fucking.
It was a good
thrown-
match. I mean,
thrown
I
around.
thought the same thing too. It was a good
Yeah.
match.
But even I think with the main event in AEW, I think JR said before the match started, take away the title match at the end. This could be your main event of the evening.
Yeah.
And any
What's
other
that?
given night.
What, that tag match?
The tag
Oh,
match
yeah.
could have been your
Yeah,
main
I
event
agree.
any
I
other
agree.
given night.
And they're loading up their cards, so I don't know if that's sustainable. Like NXT is booking it like NXT, where they're not just super loading every top star is going to
Yeah.
be in there. Where I mean, they'll have the one person that's not that has like an AW dark match. Like this week it was Cody, and last week it was Kenny. But they are really loading up their cards like that with just main eventers, wrestling main eventers.
If you watch week to week between AEW and NXT, they have shown you. Obviously, they keep your main guys in. They show you them week in and week out, so you know who their main guys are. But I think AEW is not recycling and showing as much of their talent as NXT is showing. NXT is literally showing a lot more of their roster from week to week than AEW is.
That's fine, but that's
also
one thing I do like.
NXT
is
has a lot more practice at this too. They've been doing this a long time. AEW just started. This is literally the third week of doing a TV show, so they get used to it, and they will start recycling guys better.
Yeah.
But for your first 3 weeks, you got to show the stars because some people are still tuning in. Like, all right, you have me for now, but week 4 or 5, they're tuning out. So
and you have
keep
to
showing the
get all those
stars.
guys TV time to explain, like, okay, we have this guy, this guy, this guy. So for the first 3 months or so, you're just going to slowly cycle your guys like NXT did in the very beginning,
Exactly.
just trying to get everybody acclimated to who you have.
Because there'll be people that watch and they'll say, "Oh, I don't know any of these people." when I watch
Exactly.
this." Same thing with NXT though. That's
But
them people.
if you don't do it early, do you think it's a mistake? Like, so here's the thing.
I mean,
like,
they're slowly pushing. Like you didn't know who Sammy Guevara is first. Now you do.
yeah,
I mean,
but he's also part of a state. So he's
Yeah, but
he's
I
kind of
mean-
like your Disco Inferno and like when he snuck in with an NWO. Like he was like your joke, and then he got pushed into a major stable. So then you're like, oh, I actually know who this. Like I just really don't want AEW to fall in the same trap that turned me away from WCW, where it's like every single week I'm seeing the same 2 stables
But,
over and over and
I
over.
mean, all the
And-
undercard's always been different. There's new people
Yeah.
every week. So I mean,
But
you
it-
can't get everybody in the first show.
No, I know, but I said that now within 3 weeks of span, like we've yet to see like Brian Pillman Jr. in the ring. We haven't seen
but I don't
Sonny.
think he's official. Sonny Kiss was on the dark match.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
haven't like you're putting people on dark matches that
Yeah.
like
Not the
how
same
has
people
Joey
seen.
Janela not?
I'll tell you what, dude. The dark for this week, like they just taped it.
Yeah.
does not look good. Like the first 2 weeks look good, but
Yeah,
I was
the-
looking at the match list. I was like, oh, Jesus
Yeah, yeah.
Christ.
Yeah, like
Looks
Joey
rough.
Janela hasn't been on TV yet. Sonny Kiss hasn't been on TV yet. Orange Cassidy hasn't been on TV.
Yeah,
yet.
he was. Briefly
Well, he did like a
interview.
cameo.
Yeah, he
did
wrestled.
like but like I mean like that's the kind like if you want that indie feel like that you're trying to carry over, like you gotta rotate a little bit.
I think they're trying to present a major league feel. I think they're not trying to do an indie feel.
Yeah.
They really toned down on the goofy stuff, the stuff you would see in being the elite,
which is good.
Yeah, they're presenting it like a serious product.
I kind of like it. I kind of like the goofy stuff here and there. I think
it's a good change of pace.
I mean, so they'll have some, but like you're not going to see really out there stuff.
Like for me, a big thing with Raw and SmackDown is they take everything too seriously, and that gets stale after a while.
And like Brian just mentioned, being the elite. If you want that goofy stuff, you can watch them being the elite, and they have that. And like it's kind of
a wrestling show should
a
have
good
at
20
least
minutes.
a little bit of comedy in every show.
that will happen. I mean, but like Brian just said, they're trying to make it like a predominant.
But if anyone can
major
get away
league
with it right
show.
now, AEW can get away with it. They can literally do. They're like the Marvel of wrestling. They could walk in the ring and take a shit in the middle of it, and people are like, genius! And then, like,
Well, we feel that way because we're wrestling fans.
Yeah.
Your casual fan would be like, I'm not watching this shit again.
I mean,
Fuck
how are you
this.
going to feel when Orange Cassidy finally gets his first match and he just lays in the lethal strikes? Where he literally puts his hands in his pockets and sloth kicks the shit out of you for 5 minutes.
The slow thing, unless he does it and the guy just clubs him right down.
Yeah.
You know,
I mean,
like,
Tommy Dreamer
okay.
did it.
Yeah.
By the way, my favorite comedy of the week was Tony Falk's House of Waffles and Thai.
that was awesome. Yeah, if you've seen that, I want to record that and share that. You want to talk about good wrestling? NWA Power is awesome.
Oh yeah.
yeah,
Did,
I have yet to
the
watch
NWA.
it.
Did you guys watch BT this past week?
I
No.
know.
Chucky T and Beretta doing the BT mailbag,
Kept messing
asking him so much
Just the
ridiculous
dumbest
shit they didn't want to answer.
questions,
Is a hot dog a sandwich? I
cares?
really don't care.
Yeah,
And Orange Cassidy, how do you feel about this? Yep.
it's good.
Yeah. Did we go through all the picks on Raw and SmackDown?
No, we had a few things.
Oh
up.
my God.
We'll speed through these here real quick.
Let's get off
Just
this
run
and
through
talk
all the
about good
picks and
wrestling.
we'll comment.
So the fourth round, Buddy Murphy to Raw, Ziggler and Rude to SmackDown right after they dropped
Does
the title.
Buddy Murphy confuse you when he comes on TV? Because every time I first say him, I'm like, is that Curtis Hawkins? And he looks to me like
Oh,
a more
really?
Jack Curtis Hawkins. I don't know. It's
Does
hard.
Curtis Hawkins have like real short hair now? Though?
He has
I
longer
think he
hair now.
trimmed it.
Oh, does
did
he? Oh,
Yeah.
I haven't seen him in a while.
And they went undrafted, but I think Ryder and Hawkins went to SmackDown.
Yeah.
Raw.
Yeah.
Raw.
I
Because
wonder
you
why
ever had like
they
3
went-
tag teams.
because they're
Hey, well,
losing.
I was thinking to myself too when I was upstairs peeing. Do you think they're going to do an angle where someone's the big bust, where they were a top pick and then they were a giant bust? Because that's usually a big thing too in sports. where,
Probably
like,
not because they're not smart enough to.
Yeah, I just thought maybe that'd be something too they can look out for.
Maybe they say that about Braun after he loses to
Oh,
Tyson
man,
Fury.
maybe yeah.
Yeah,
And he's got something to
He's
prove.
not so tough after all.
Yeah. Then Jinder. Jinder goes to Raw.
yeah, that's my boy.
No
Jinder
hindering
balls.
Jinder.
Jinder my balls.
I dig him. I think he's funny.
And then Carmella to SmackDown.
Yeah, shocker.
Makes sense. Yeah, Corey Graves is over there. R-Truth, though, to Raw as the 24/7 champion.
Yeah.
Heartbreak.
Yeah.
I think
They'll
he's
probably put him with an Air Girl.
I think they have to they need to figure out something new with the 24/7 title.
The next round was Samoa Joe to Raw. The Miz to SmackDown. He is now, every draft they've done has switched.
Can we talk about the still fact that this Humberto dude has
Yeah.
been drafted over all of these
Yeah,
fucking people?
I know. Yeah,
Wait, there's a big one at the end here. Akira Tozawa to Raw.
He was another good
he
205
he
live
should
guy.
be down on the list.
And then SmackDown takes King Corbin. Now, let's say what you want about Baron Corbin as a wrestler, but he's the king of the ring.
Yeah, what do you?
He wins
be
a lot.
higher in the
For
pick?
the record, I will be going to SmackDown on November 15th just to chant STD.
That's so stupid.
It is so stupid.
Come on.
Because The Rock said it.
Yeah.
And then The Rock takes the Raw.
Yeah.
Raw takes Shelton Benjamin. And
I forgot he was there.
talk about somebody that fell. The final set of 5 picks. The first one is Raw taking Rey Mysterio
Yeah, Humberto, fucking who knows?
Yeah.
has
and
been-
Tozawa.
Yeah, over Rey Mysterio. Come on.
and then SmackDown finally takes Shorty Gable.
yeah.
Raw takes Titus O'Neil.
Yeah.
SmackDown takes Elias. And then the final pick, Miz Irrelevant.
Elias is someone who really fell.
Yeah. Miz Irrelevant is Liv Morgan.
Okay.
She is
Well,
the last pick.
She hasn't been doing anything.
Let's be
yet,
honest.
so.
Where is Elias going at this point?
Nowhere.
I mean,
He's a comedy act.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's such a shame because he was so over as a heel, man. He was killing it, and they just didn't do nothing with
Even
him.
when he was,
He's not a great wrestler,
even
which
when,
I admit, but
when he
Yeah.
was toting the line, he was funny. Like
Yeah.
when he be a face or a heel, depending on who he was talking to.
I guess they just lost. Vince does that. He has his new toy, and then
yeah, he loses
it, and
confidence
then
with people. If they're like, yeah, he's very weird. He's
I
very.
mean, he's
fickle.
done it with McIntyre 3 times already.
Yeah,
yeah.
he's a guy that should leave.
All right, so we'll just get nothing else really happened exciting on Raw.
The Viking Raiders won the title, which could
Yeah,
be
That was cool. Yeah, that was probably.
Yeah, and
That was
I mean,
a long time coming.
And they're the first ones to have all those titles now. New
Yeah.
Japan,
It just
NXT,
the
ROH.
fucking the last Raw. This whole draft
They're
has
terrible.
been horrible.
It's awful. It's awful since Hell in the Cell. A lot of people are like, I ain't watching
You
it.
could have
I don't
did this
blame 'em.
shit behind closed doors with the executives if you really wanted to.
Well,
had
they
them
could have
sit
done
there.
it on TV, but it just the way they presented it all was horrible. The war room, and then cutting to another panel, and
So
that panel had to
cheesy.
talk for 15, 20 minutes, and then you were back to commercial, then you were back on and got a match, and then it was just suck. It was so poorly structured. Like, I like watching ups and downs. Simon Miller. Simon Miller is Mr. Positivity, where he loves every single thing that's put in front of his eyes, and he was like, I can't defend this. You know what I mean? Like,
So when does the official brand split start?
It's supposed to start this Monday. Like it's
yeah.
yeah. So everything is
So how you gonna have a SmackDown guy and a Raw guy in a cage match?
that's where I think your blockbuster trade's going to come in.
Well, I guess the Crown Jewel, because that's like out of canon. That
Yeah.
It don't
What
count.
are they gonna start splitting pay-per-views
So
again?
does
Yeah, that's a good question.
does
I don't think, but you think they would.
is
I
this
think they were serious about it.
cage match a title shot?
Oh, for Bray?
Yeah.
I don't know.
The crown
didn't
jewel
say.
match is for the title.
What I'm saying is, is this fight on Monday for the title?
No, I don't think so.
Does Bray lose back to back? Is what I'm saying.
Well, then he's done.
Probably,
Yeah.
which is
Yeah.
why I'm saying they're already burying him. Like he's the fall guy.
Unless he's actually wrestling Bray Wyatt in the cage and not the Fiend.
yeah. Wouldn't that be something? And he comes out with the Mr. Rogers sweater.
I still want them to do that. But
I kind of do too, and I want him to be terrible. And he can't win at all.
He just comes out to the Firefly Funhouse
Yeah.
song.
See, I want him to wrestle clean and be like No Way Jose with a headlock takedown or something.
Yeah.
Or a hip toss.
He, my theory behind the burning down of the
Funhouse.
the Funhouse is, I feel that the Funhouse is the spot where Bray Wyatt and the Fiend have that distortion, where Bray Wyatt's Bray Wyatt and the Fiend is now the Fiend outside those doors, because he always says, "Oh, you never want to leave those doors." Like, in his psychotic mind, the Funhouse is the only place that he resides in, and then when he leaves those doors, he can't control himself, and that's when the Fiend comes out.
So now
So
maybe
he has like a split. He has a split personality disorder right now, where once he walks out those firehouse doors, because they had the Dante's Inferno sign where it says, "If you leave this door, you're no longer safe." Like, when Bray Wyatt walks out the Firefly Funhouse, that's when the Fiend takes over, and he doesn't remember anything until he comes back in and then rewatches. I'm just trying to theorize in my mind of how the two differentiate. Because he doesn't believe that the Fiend and the Bray Wyatt are two different people. I think of the burning down of the Firefly Funhouse is now Seth Rollins opening that door, where now maybe Bray Wyatt isn't as used as much, because now it's just you unleash the Fiend.
There was a rumor too that Fox doesn't want the Firefly Funhouse stuff.
Yeah. So
either
like,
that or Bray Wyatt loses the mask and like he's just a psycho
Wouldn't that
without
just
the mask.
kill the?
if he
thing
loses
right
that
now?
mask, it's so
It's over. Yeah, it's over.
But that, I believe, that's what I think. I think the Funhouse is now the final straw in this. We're now like the Fiend. He's now even more powerful than he was before.
I
'Cause now
think
there's no
It just comes right back next week like nothing happened.
But
It probably will.
Yeah, that's what I think.
Yeah, that's the thing. See, like you're making great points, and that's how it should be.
But probably other than
But-
Bray, no one's thinking that.
But what's
Yeah.
going to happen is that he's going to lose the cage match. He's probably going to. Well, he might win the cage match, but he's going to lose for sure crown jewel, because they're not going to have him win the belt. So Hell in the Cell is technically a loss if it's not a DQ like you're saying, and it actually was a referee stoppage. Well, he lost that match technically.
Yeah.
Now he's going to lose this match like cleanly, even though it falls count, so it'll be some shenanigans.
Like, I don't
But
feel
just
like
Jesus Christ.
I don't feel like losses affect him as his character is completely done, because Undertaker has even had losses in this.
But the way they were
Not-
building Bray up, though, he was dominating everybody and taking out legends, and he was like this unstoppable force. Like it took like 12 finishers to try to put him down in Hell in a Cell. Now he's gonna have 2 losses back to back. It's just like
and
okay.
possibly 3
yeah,
to the guy the face that everyone boos because he's annoying
yeah, and
and he's an asshole on Twitter.
Yeah, it's crazy. But all right, so AEW this week. You guys can.
That tag match was great.
Yeah, I mean, we kind of been going back and forth with it already.
Yeah, we've covered most.
Well, I think
what
the
happened.
Santana and Ortiz match was kind of my bathroom break.
Yeah, well,
That
I
did
wasn't
nothing
too
for
into
me.
that.
I wasn't
mean, it was
too
a
into
job
Rio and
match,
Britt
so
Baker.
I thought that got better at the end.
Britt Baker does nothing for me.
When Britt's going for her new mandible claw, rings the Saturn thing, and then Rio's keeping her mouth
Everyone
shut.
went crazy. Like, it literally
Lockjaw.
That
Yeah,
match,
lockjaw.
that match to me was
Lockjaw.
like, ugh. Right? I just didn't. And then when like the very end, when the whole crowd went crazy for it, I was like, am I the only one not getting this? Like, everyone went nuts for that finish, and I was like, that match was
Well, I
not
think because
good.
they all thought Britt was going to win. Maybe I don't know.
Maybe-
I wasn't that into it.
It might also go back to the fact that people are vested in this character, Britt Baker, and they like her. To me, she walks out, and I'm like, this is
Well,
I don't get it.
What are
Britt
the odds
doesn't
she
have
gets
much-
another title match next week because they are in Pittsburgh?
No, she'll wrestle somebody and beat somebody else.
They've shown no one else, so why not? Like,
I mean, Nyla might get another shot at it.
I think Riho won't wrestle next week. Or
Aja Kong,
maybe a tag
Awesome
match.
Kong.
You need to do like a 3-on-3 or a triple threat match with 3 brand new women to show that you have more people in your division.
Yeah, they have a pay-per-view coming up very soon. It's November 9th, so they need to have a challenger for Rio for the pay-per-view.
Yeah.
I mean, you have
Maybe
Aja
be a
Kong.
pre-sleep.
Who's the other Japanese woman?
The only people they've shown.
Hikaru Shida.
The only other person they showed.
She wasn't on yet. I don't think.
They showed the Freddie Mercury girl, and they showed
Amiya Sakura, Bea Priestley.
the fake Paige chick.
Be
They tag
Priestley.
team. Yeah. Besides those 4 and Nyla Rose, that's the only women division we've seen so far.
And then the one dark match with Penelope Ford, but she's terrible.
Yeah, I'm just saying as like the person who's just tuning in through.
Yeah.
Like you don't watch any.
Yeah, you only know like 5 girls so far.
Yeah, exactly.
It's weird that Penelope Ford wasn't on TV in Philly, and she's from the Philadelphia
Yeah,
area.
because she's.
Sucks.
Not, I mean, she's
Yeah,
good looking.
she's
She's a
good-looking,
good manager, but she's not a good wrestler at all.
Yeah.
And, which is weird because her boyfriend Skip Saban, he wrestled. She should come out with
Yeah,
him.
hey, yeah, just put them together.
Right? That would have made sense.
I don't get it. He had a good match at the AEW
Yeah.
Dark. It was him, Sonny Kiss, and the librarian guy.
And the librarian guy who I
Yeah.
can't
Peter
stand.
Avalon.
I can't
Yeah,
stand
yeah, I
Peter
can't
Avalon.
stand- yeah,
He's
he-
horrible.
Who won?
Kip Sabian.
Kip Saban, yeah.
Yeah, he's pretty good.
I actually want to see Sonny Kiss in a match. I've never seen him wrestle.
Yeah, I was like,
You
the
didn't
first time I
watch
actually seen him
the
wrestle.
all double and
He
all out?
who'd he beat at?
I'm not counting a battle royal. As a match.
He had a singles match at Fight for the Fallen. He beat somebody. They
I
showed
didn't see
it.
that.
He
Yeah,
was
they-
in All Out too. He won his All Out match.
I don't remember.
I don't think he wasn't all out.
I think didn't he beat Peter Avalon at Fight
All
for the
Out.
Fallen?
Oh, yeah.
Maybe
I thought it was All Out. He beat Peter Avalon.
No, it was that
No.
outdoor one. It was the one.
The Fight for the Fallen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't see that one.
It
I didn't
was
see
a-
Fight for the Fallen. I didn't see the
Yeah, 'cause
Fighter
he came
Fest.
out and
He
did
does
the
like a
dance
lot of
with
like
the Jaguars
split things.
cheerleaders.
Like, so
Yeah, that
like,
was Fight for
he'll give
the
like a
Fallen.
hip toss and he does like the split. Like this is his whole thing.
He does
Like,
some cool stuff.
Yeah, he does a lot of cool moves.
That show, you didn't say that show was the same night as the Better Than Ezra free concert in Pottsville. That was the same night.
That's
yeah.
why I didn't see that.
My brother Sarah the Wall didn't watch Better Than Ezra, but anyway.
That I was more or less waiting for the after show with Bad Maggie,
Okay.
Paul Lady, and Hooligan.
That was a long night.
It was fucking long.
Yeah, I
That was a
think
long day.
I hope they have a Sunny Kiss on TV soon. But hey, next week,
Yeah.
every week they are putting new characters in. I mean, they're getting there. But AEW, I like the whole AEW Dark because Tony Schiavone hosts it and they go
Yeah.
over the matches and it's a cool
It's
little
on
extra
YouTube?
thing. Yeah. And it comes on every Tuesday at 7, then of course it's on. So you watch
Yeah.
NWA Power at 6:05, and then you watch AEW Dark, and then MLW comes on, then Impact comes on, but that's on
Again,
channel-
even I said at the beginning of the show, they need to
Where's
replace Jim
MLW
Ross
at?
with Shivani.
on YouTube.
Oh, MLW
Yeah.
on
And
YouTube.
then they have pay-per-views then
Yeah.
they buy, yeah.
NWA is doing a pay-per-view too. It might be like an pay-per-view in
Yeah, it's
December.
November or something.
Oh,
or is it
December, I
Interesting.
think.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Is
it's
Nick
called Into
Aldis still
Fire.
the champion?
Yes.
Yeah, he has done. He has learned how to carry himself like a star.
Yeah.
He has been excellent on these NWA.
I haven't been
shows.
a big fan of him.
Is
but,
Aldis wasn't in PPW, was he?
No,
Who was
I
the one
don't
that
think he
wrestled
ever did.
Morrison? The real Jack
that was
dude.
Eli Drake.
Okay, yeah.
man. Eli Drake is also there, though.
Yeah, he's also in NWA.
Yeah. He's pretty good at using Kryptonite Crunch as a
Whoever,
finisher.
whoever that girl is that's on camera all the time, that's
Oh,
with Aldis.
Connie?
Camilla her name is.
Camilla, yeah,
Camilla.
that's Bram.
She's
Tom,
a, she's
Tom
a big,
Latimer's
she's a
girlfriend.
big girl.
She was
when
a
sitting
softball
next to
player,
her, I was
yeah.
like, she's fucking.
She's hot.
And I wonder
like
how his
5'10".
wife feels about that.
What? What?
Nick Aldis' wife. I wonder how she feels about it.
Nikki.
Nikki.
James.
Yeah.
She'll probably show up on NWA. I like how every weekend on NWA there's new characters and it's like
Yeah.
it's really well. It flies by for an hour.
Yeah.
Because
It's-
match promo.
It's great. It's a great show.
It
I
is
gotta
really
I gotta
good.
watch it.
On the down low, that's one of the best.
And everybody
shows
says
going
that
right
has
now.
such an old school feel.
It
I've yet to
does.
watch it, but
Yeah.
if it has that old school feel,
'Cause
more power to
there's
it.
no
No
entrance
pun
way. There's
intended.
no ramp. They just walk
There's
out
no
to the
music.
curtain.
Yeah.
And
It's
they
really
just get in
cool.
the ring,
Really
or they go over and they do an interview, and then they let you shine like this. Hey, cut a promo. So if you can't cut a promo, you're done.
Yeah.
But Mr. Anderson was there. He gained a little bit of weight. Mr. Kennedy.
That one dude was really good too.
that
Ricky-
Spanish guy.
Yeah, he was really good.
I was like, who's this
Yeah.
guy? When he started cutting promo, I'm like,
Yeah,
this
it was a
guy's
really
good.
good
Oh, Stroke Daddy.
Yeah,
Stroke
Ricky
Daddy.
Sparks.
Stroke Daddy.
Ricky Starks or Ricky Sparks?
Yeah, Ricky Starks, I think
Yeah.
is his name. Yeah.
Jesus.
Anything else on AW you guys want to cover?
I was just looking through actually looking through the Observer here a little bit to see if there's any like little details. Not related. RVD's wife is signed with Impact now.
What's her name?
Katie Forbes. Yeah.
RVD's living his best life right
Yeah.
now.
Britt Baker will be wrestling on the AEW show next week in Pittsburgh, but they're not saying who she's
Yeah.
wrestling against. The Bucks are wrestling more tag title tournament matches.
I think they announced 2 matches, didn't they?
Yeah, they have.
The Dark Orders next week.
Pac versus Moxley got announced for next week, so that'd be
Yeah,
cool.
that
It's a
should
good
be pretty
match.
good. Unless they do like a screw job thing, maybe. But
It seems
can't
like
see that.
I think Kenny will make his presence be felt, and he'll probably interfere in the match. I think they're going to change that match to a triple threat for the next pay-per-view.
Yeah, it kind of.
I want to know where they're going with like
that
this
way, though.
psycho Kenny. Are we getting the cleaner back or not?
It seems like it, and they're also doing Lucha Bros Private Party, Dark Order,
That's pretty
Scorpio
good.
Sky, and Kazarian. But yeah, I think you're gonna see the cleaner when he wrestles Moxley full gear, because that's just gonna be your wild brawler on pay per view. They can do whatever.
I mean,
Unless they go
Is he
triple,
gonna come out
unless
Jerry
they
Curl
go,
and-
I feel like unless it turns into a triple threat, then Kenny loses again, and then the next time you see Kenny at a major pay per view, he'll be the full cleaner.
I mean, in
Terminator.
BT did throw the aviators away. I mean, I don't know how to go about that.
Yeah, I don't know. I think he has to maybe lose one or two more big ones, and then he'll fully snap. I think that's the way they're trying to book him. I think they're slow playing him. NXT. I was talking about before with the women's. I thought the two women's matches were good. I thought the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu chick is not.
Tainara Conti.
I think she's fucking fun to watch. I think she makes her shit look realistic because she has a jiu-jitsu background.
Oh, that's not the. Well, that's Lacey Lane that they changed
Yeah,
her name. I forget to what?
and I see. I have a hard time with names. Like even when I meet people the first time, I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, I don't remember your name, so I'm just like, but she's pretty hot too. And they said that she's friends with Cyborg, which is interesting.
I think
Oh,
her name
Tainara?
is. Hey, her name is just Tainara now. They
Yeah.
dropped the
Yeah.
last name.
Yeah,
she lost her last name.
They build her from Rio de
She was
Janeiro.
pretty good.
Yeah.
What did they rename Lacey Lane to? You said it.
I got to look it up again.
Oh,
yeah.
it's something. It's
Something with a
totally
K.
different. She looks like a Mortal Kombat character. That's why I like her. But
Yeah.
she's still a little green though.
Trying to think of other matches were there. Oh, the Ciampa match to start off was awesome.
Who did he wrestle? Because I didn't see this.
Humberto
Angel-
Garza or Angel Garza.
Garza.
Oh, okay.
Angel Garza. There was a cool little spot where he took a kick and then he kind of grabbed his neck and everyone.
No.
And then he
Suckered him out.
He beat the shit out of him, and then he went like slapped his neck, like fucking daddy's home. Like I don't, dude. That dude has fucking it. Like
The only problem is he gets injured a lot. But I mean,
yeah, he has it. He has
it's the
he has
wear
an
and tear.
insane.
Caden
it factor.
Carter is what they're calling Lacey
Okay.
Lane now. Caden Carter.
He has an insane it factor, man. Like
Yeah.
he took the ring, and it was just like people were fucking in.
Is it
They
only
were-
right to give him the belt back?
No,
Not
you,
yet.
You keep undisputed.
You can't.
Or you keep them having the belts. for a while.
It was cool because like after the match was over, they had Undisputed Era come out and like circled the ring and stuff, and it still felt like they were in more danger than he was.
Yeah.
Like that's how I felt. It was like his presence was like, listen, I will fuck all four of you up with this cane and
No.
it's fine.
I mean, if I can give him a comparison, what he feels like to me, he feels like a Stone Cold Steve Austin. He's a cooler version of like he's strictly business. Like you need friends to fucking fight him. He's the guy that can walk out to the ring and fucking fight 15 people and you might believe it. Like he's like where Stone Cold will walk out to 18 people in the ring and he's like, don't give a shit. I'm going down. I'm fighting all of them. Like Ciampa has that feel. Like if he gets moved up to the roster, that's exactly how I would book him. Like he just has that attitude. Now, when it comes to size wise, will he stack up to some big guys? No. But I mean, his attitude's there, man. Like
when they brought him up for that hot month or whatever it was,
Yeah,
it wasn't
yeah.
too good.
And also,
that
he has-
wasn't his fault.
He also happens to have Steve Austin's neck, which is a problem.
Yeah.
100%.
And Sheamus.
Yeah, and then
Is that what the one's changed?
They said
Sheamus cleared
Sheamus
or
might be
something?
coming back.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you're going to see the bar back again on SmackDown soon.
Yeah. Trying to think what else. The other women's match was cool, and then like the EO match was awesome. I don't remember the girl she wrestled, but
Every
the,
EO match is awesome.
Yeah.
but
she's
the
very
girl
good.
with the long dreads, man, she
That
was good.
Caden Carter.
Caden Carter.
She used to be Lacey Lane.
I really like her.
Yeah.
Like I would watch her another match. Like not only like here's a cool thing. Like Rhea Ripley went out and squashed that girl last week. But the girl had a great look. Maybe not the greatest in the ring, but she had a great look and she had the good manager. Like that character you can get behind at some point
Who
in
did
time.
she? Aaliyah?
Yeah, Leah.
The other one? Yeah.
Like she's not a superstar now, but they showcase like this girl can be something soon.
And
then,
Rhea is a superstar, and so is EO.
Rhea is Aaliyah.
Yeah.
and then
EO,
they,
EO.
Yeah.
is a star.
then they show another match this week where the two girls come back from ACL injuries, and both those have like this big push. But even the girls they wrestled weren't terrible. Like it was a decent match,
Yeah.
and it was clearly they were out
who
there to showcase.
who did Tegan wrestle?
Tainara.
Oh, okay.
Conti.
They were clearly out there to showcase the come up of the two other superstars, but they did a good job as supporting actor, like a supporting cast, to make them look good. But they didn't do terrible. And like
Yeah.
the EO girl, like the girl EO wrestled, and the girl and then like at the end, we're like, is Bianca Blair's calling them out? Then you have Rio calling them out. Then EO calling them out. Then EO and Rhea getting in each other's
Yeah,
face.
I'd like to see EO versus Rhea Ripley.
Yeah,
Me
that
too.
would be amazing.
And then at the very end, Shayna comes out and tells these two girls like, "You're both a joke." But she even for her to come out and entertain that, you're like, well, are one of those going to get a match? So you can set up literally a fatal 4-way. You can set up a triple threat.
But that's my only problem is I feel like the waters are getting too muddled over there. Like they don't need to have 6 different girls be like, well, we all want to shut the title. Like you should do it. It's getting to the point where the pay-per-view is coming up soon. There should be a more clearer path. Like I'm sure it'll probably be Rhea or whatever, but
we have a couple more weeks of
yeah.
For me as a wrestling fan, that's like it's for me. I was so against women's wrestling at some point. It was.
Oh, it sucked.
It was terrible. Yeah, but now at one point in time, Raw and SmackDown actually had the better women's storylines where I was actually tuning in every week to see what was happening for the women's division because the men's division sucked.
For sure.
That doesn't. I'm not saying the men's division sucks on NXT, but I am tuning in next week to see. Out of those 4 women, are they going to go against each other? Like, who's going to be that clear cut for Shayna Baszler? Because it left it wide open for me. Like, that interests me as a show. Like, that out of everything that happened between the 2 shows that week, that's what would like really caught my attention. And then I seen for the first time ever the Keith Lee and the other dude match.
Yeah, that was
and that
good.
was fucking awesome. It was really, really good.
I just hated how, like, once again, every time for some reason why WWE always books their heels to be complete morons. Like, why Roger Strong was like, hey, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to interfere in this match, and then I won't have to face either one of them. Like, when the hell has that ever worked in a wrestling system?
Yeah.
It's always the manager being like, well, now you fight them both. But Roger Strong's like, not this time.
Yeah, I'm going
Like,
to
what
not
the fuck?
defend the title for a month.
It just
But,
was stupid as hell.
The NXT women's situation right now, the way they're booking it, honestly feels like you should throw them all in an elimination chamber and say,
That's
here
what I'm
you go.
saying. There's just so
Yeah.
many of them. And
Yeah, you could set up a really cool
Maybe
like
that's what-
NXT style fatal 4 because NXT knows a way to put a fatal 4-way together.
NXT brings in some sort of like
Well, that was the
smaller
first
elimination
match.
chamber.
On the first NXT was a women's 4-way.
Yeah.
I know they only really like doing this for the tag division, and they're doing a huge one in Saudi Arabia, but I would do a gauntlet. I would have the first
yeah.
hour of the NXT TV be a women's gauntlet.
That'd be pretty
Just
good.
put like eight women in it.
All 5 or 6 of those women that are involved in this can literally be fucking superstars one day. Like all of them. Like all of them. EO is a fucking phenomenal. And I'm not usually normally into
only
that
thing that's
style.
gonna
To be
hurt
honest, I
EO
think Rhea
is-
Ripley and maybe EO are already bigger than the title.
Yeah.
I think Shayna needed the belt to solidify herself, but I think the other 2 are well beyond the title.
Yeah, and it's even do either one of them even beat Baszler? That's
Yeah.
a question too. Like I don't know.
I think if you're beating Baszler, she's got to go up.
yeah.
I don't think there's a thing of her
Then it's like
chasing
you
it.
kind of need people. Well, yeah, I guess you don't really need her. But if she goes to Raw or SmackDown,
She has to go to Raw.
Well, there
because-
goes Duke and Shafir then. They'll
can be
be
attacked.
on NXT doing nothing.
which they should be.
Yeah, they have to get more work.
If she goes to Raw in a program with Becky, that would be.
Yeah.
I think it could do a lot with that.
She has to go to Raw because you have to have someone to break up between Charlotte and Becky because there's nothing else
And
there.
they're not going to put Shayna
Well,
and Ronda together.
I mean, Lacey's on Raw. You can do something with Lacey.
No,
there.
Lacey's on
Lacey's on
Oh,
SmackDown.
it's on SmackDown, so never mind. Because you really want to see Natalya there? No, I don't. I don't care less.
Natalya, like I said, she should have been on SmackDown. It made more sense, but
yeah,
she's one of them characters they just don't
I
care
would have
about.
kept them together as like a female bar where they like
I still think
they try to kill
Naomi
each other.
and the Usos, once they're done being punished for Jimmy being a drunk,
Yeah.
they'll probably go to SmackDown. You know,
Yeah.
that makes sense.
And then I'm still not completely sold on the Cross guy. It was a good match with him and Pete Dunne.
Damian Priest.
Oh, he sucks.
Yeah.
No, yeah, like I said, he seems to me like a generic dollar store lone wolf Baron
Yeah,
Corbin.
he's tall.
You know?
That's it. And even ROH,
I mean,
I don't
he
get
had,
it.
He had some crazy he did some shit for a guy his size should not look like it's easy to do.
Yeah.
I'm not a big Punishment Martinez fan either. That was a really good match.
It was a good match.
And Pete Dunne is so good.
It's probably-
He's so good.
Pete does
He probably
phenomenal.
could, that's Pete Dunne.
And then
that made that
Pete
match
Dunne
good.
smacks Killian Dane or breaks Killian Dane's finger to even start the match. Like that. That's another guy too, man. Like Pete Dunne versus Ciampa one day would be awesome. They would just
Yeah.
they would look like we're like those two guys look like if you booked them in a 1-on-1, they would have to fight to the death.
Pete Dunne and anybody's going to be good.
Yeah.
Pete Dunne's
unbelievable.
He's on a
Even
really high
Punishment
level.
in ROH, though, he won the TV title one time, and I think that was his crowning jewel in 3 years there.
So I don't want to
I don't think.
And then he
should've
got
won
squashed by Jeff
I don't
Cobb.
think he should have won the title.
So do you ever see maybe it happens more in the indies, but it happens in the big shows too, where you have that one guy who takes himself way too fucking seriously,
low key.
like a guy who's literally like, I am literally the fucking coolest thing you've ever seen in your life.
That's
And
low key.
No matter how
CM Punk.
that's what he
Bret
Bret Hart.
Yeah, that's what this Damian Priest guy comes off to me.
He might be. I don't know.
Maybe in
I'm not
person
sure.
he's not.
You know who has a backstage reputation for that though, and that's why he's getting shit? Matt Riddle.
Yeah.
Matt Riddle takes himself way too seriously and thinks he's way better than he is.
That's why I don't see Matt Riddle working out in WWE.
Yeah, I don't either. I
here's
don't
the
not
thing,
think
He's
it's gonna
leaving in a
work.
couple years.
Every time he's in the ring,
It's good.
It's a great
Yeah,
match.
it's good. But I mean,
he's
I
still
think
good in
his
the ring, but he
backstage-
tries that shit on the main roster, and they're gonna be like, dude, get the fuck out of here. Like, who? You think you're a star? Like, you don't even wrestle with shoes. You look like a fucking weirdo.
Yeah, but he'd be the one you say that shit to, and he'd choke you the fuck
Yeah.
out.
People always say that, dude, but like, it's a whole different thing. Like, when I watched the whole thing with him and Goldberg go down, he looked nervous. He might not have been nervous, but he looked like he was like, this dude's a lot bigger than I thought he was. Like, Matt Riddle's not. Everyone acts like he's Brock Lesnar. He was not a UFC champion.
Jericho.
He was a
smacked
middle.
Goldberg around.
He did, yeah. Jericho was a crazy fucker too.
Jericho grabbed the choke and held on for dear life, but no, Jericho will fight anybody. Jericho wanted to fight Brock. He'll fight anybody.
Yeah, he's a nutbag. All right, we are running super late. Is there anything else on this week's show that we want to talk about, or anything we missed?
I think we covered everything.
I said watch the NWA Power and that Waffles and Tyrons commercial.
Tony Falk.
Yes,
So this,
that's fantastic.
Taught Shawn Michaels how to speak Kazarni.
Yeah.
I have not personally watched it, but I've not heard one person say anything bad about it.
I've not heard one negative thing about NWA Power,
Yeah.
which is crazy because NWA was nothing, and now it's like
I am
this
in
is
this
awesome.
I am in this group, this private group of like all these old school like NWA, WCW. Some people didn't like this one because of that comedy stuff. Did it like
Which I don't get why it's there, but it's so good, and it's
Yeah.
shot like '80s where they zoom in on his face and
in
everything.
Austin Idol's wrestling stuff?
Yeah, I'll make you a star.
So I'm gonna kind of breeze through a lot of different topics here. Obviously, if anything that I like the filler stuff that I didn't write down, you guys are more than welcome to add in. It is from this is all pretty much from Wikipedia for the most part. So if you want to open up Owen Hart's Wikipedia page and maybe fill in with some stuff that I didn't go over, you're more than welcome to as well. So this week's topic for me, this is a guy who is honestly top 10 for me is all time greatest. I just thought he was really good in the ring. I really enjoyed
Owen
him.
Hart was very good.
He was a nugget.
And then everything I've ever
I hated
heard,
that.
everything I've ever heard about him, even outside the ring, no one's ever really had a bad thing to say about the guy.
No, he wasn't. He wasn't a problem starter. He did like to play a lot of ribs. They said.
Yeah, they said he was amazing at ribs.
Yeah, but he was not. He was not hard to deal with, or he wasn't complaining about booking or doing a job.
Here's how you know how good Owen Hart was. I used to, in the mid '90s, I was a lot at the old Philadelphia Spectrum and the back then it was the Core State Center with WWE house shows. When they would bring a guy back who was like an older guy, maybe never was the best wrestler, or maybe just kind of getting back into it, Owen Hart was the guy they would put him with. And I have the two examples. When they brought back Jake the Snake in 1995, Owen Hart was the guy they put him with on the house shows. When they brought back the Ultimate Warrior in '96, Owen Hart was the guy that they put in the house shows with him.
One of the craziest things I did when I was going back and reading all this is God damn it, did fucking In Your House have a lot of shit happen on it. Like, In Your House had a lot of title changes.
Well, In Your House was the pay-per-view between all the big pay-per-views.
Yeah, there would be like 7 of them a year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It wasn't just one show.
It was like a lot of fucking shit happened. Like, there was probably more title changes in your houses than any mid-show, any in-between shows than we've seen today's time.
Well, yeah, because they would be all the pay-per-views.
They didn't really change the world title a lot, but they would change the other ones.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was interesting, man. There's a lot of really cool shit. But so here we have Owen Hart, May 7th, 1965, and then unfortunately May 23rd, 1999. He did pass away at the age of 34.
Wow, he was that young.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Spoiler alert, if you didn't know that. His promotions, he was part of Stampede Wrestling, which was not too hard to be a part of because it was
dad runs it?
It was his dad's promotion.
Put you in the...
He wrestled in New Japan Pro Wrestling.
Yeah,
he
so
wrestled
as the Blue Blazer. That's where he got the gimmick. He was himself too.
He didn't,
No, what am I saying? No, he was Wild Pecos. No, what was he? He had a Japan mask gimmick, didn't he?
Did he?
He had 2 runs. In Japan,
okay,
yeah.
go ahead.
He was in WCW. He was in WWF, which is now WWE.
Yeah, WCW very briefly.
Yes. He wrestled as the Blue Blazer, Owen Hart, and Owen James. He was 5'10", 227, and he debuted in 1983. So we're going to go just a little thing here. Like I said, if anyone wants to add anything that you may know in between.
He was Bronco Owen Hart for a little bit, too.
Yep,
in
Bronco
Stampede.
Owen Hart.
Yeah.
Yep. So he was the youngest of 12 kids. His wife was his high school sweetheart, so they were together a very, very long time. So he was, not only was he a professional wrestler, and he did this his entire life, but he was also a very loyal man on the road, and he still kept his high school sweetheart.
Yeah.
That shows a lot of character.
And they said he was very cheap too on the road, and he would stay with fans and everything.
Yeah, he
Save money.
Yeah.
He would stash money away, yeah.
Originally he wrestled incognito while he was in university, which is I guess a Canadian British way of saying college.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a British thing,
He
too.
actually created the character the British Bulldog, and he wore a mask. And and once he graduated college, then he still wrestled in London as Bronco Owen Hart at the Royal Albert Hall in London. Then he moved to his father's dungeon. He didn't always want to be a wrestler either. It was something that his wife even said, like, he tried so many different things before because he just didn't want to be that because
He wanted to be a firefighter, actually.
yeah, everything in his family was just like wrestling.
Yeah.
And it kind of was like, well, you're like, he never wanted to live up to his brother for the most part.
Yeah.
Like that was a legit thing. He's like, listen, I'll be everything but a wrestler, but it's in its blood.
Plus, his other two brothers were stars in Stampede.
Yep.
But, no
So then he ended up, after college, he's like, all right, listen, I'm not making money. I'll go to the dungeon and I'll wrestle in Stampede. He did a little bit of both. He did Stampede and he also wrestled still in England for Max Crabtree. He won tag team champions while he was in Stampede with Ben Bassard. No idea who that is.
So
Probably a guy that he wrestled there. That's
And
it.
he also won their Intercontinental Championship.
How about that?
you said Crabtree. His brother was like the big star in England. The guy, the promoter.
Yeah.
His brother was Shirley Crabtree, who was Big Daddy.
Oh, okay. Big Daddy was a huge star. Not to be confused with Darkness Crabtree of Jakara fame.
And then in 1987, he then branched over to New Japan, and he ended up winning the Junior Heavyweight Championship.
Yeah.
He had a lot of promos with Juicin and
Yes,
Jushin, and had a
Jushin
lot
was
of
retiring this year.
he had a lot of really cool stuff there, but it kind of went under the radar, which I would really like to go back and see that match.
There's some on New Japan World. I watched when Owen Hart wrestled somebody. It was actually pretty good. He was doing power bombs and tombstones then. I'm like, wow,
Yeah.
this is crazy.
Yeah.
Owen Hart was ahead of
Yeah,
the game.
yeah.
He
Yeah.
was.
Then 88 to 89, he signed with WWF. That's where they gave him the Blue Blazer gimmick because they didn't want to. They wanted to avoid him being Brett's younger brother.
Yeah.
He wrestled a couple matches, didn't really do much, and left shortly after WrestleMania. I think 5.
Yeah, 5 is where he wrestled Mr. Perfect.
Yeah. He pretty much was kind of like a comedy gimmick. He was
Yeah.
the Blue Blazer. He didn't really do much. In 89 and 91, he returned to Stampede until it shut down in 89. And then he also kind of did a little bit between Stampede, New Japan, and Germany. And he kind of did matches under Owen Hart and also the Blue Blazer because it was one of those things where like you go wrestle in another gym and you're like, oh, well, we know you from WWF as the Blue
Yeah.
Blazer, so he kind of kept it.
I didn't know. Are you going to say this about Mexico?
Yes.
Oh, okay, good.
In 91, he actually lost the Blue Blazer mask. I don't have exactly to who.
El Connect.
Yeah. So he lost his Blue Blazer mask and he retired the character.
Yeah.
He was a huge star connect. He wrestled Andre. He was
Yeah.
one of the
Yeah.
guys that slammed Andre in Mexico.
Yep. And then after he lost the Blue Blazer mask, he went to New Japan again,
It's funny New Japan did sign him.
and also
You
in
would think,
Germany
yeah.
to Catch Wrestling Association.
Otto Vans.
The Advance.
Yep. Then in 91, he went to WCW. He worked about 5 matches, most of them with Mark Kyle, and then also teamed with Rick Morton for one of those matches.
Ricky Morton.
Ricky Morton.
Ricky
Oh,
Morton.
well, he was. I mean, he might have been Richard
Richard,
Morton
yeah.
because
Yeah.
he was doing the York Foundation gimmick.
He did 5 matches, pretty much not under contract. He was like show to show.
Yeah.
Yeah, they had a few guys. Like Rob Van Dam was there for a little bit as Rob EV, and he only wrestled a few shows.
Yep. And then he kind of in 91, 92, we went back to WF. He kind of was like, hey, I'm going to go do this because really no contract discussions were up and no deal was done. And he didn't want to move his family to Atlanta. So he said, you know what, I'm not going to relocate. You're not going to give me a contract and I'm not moving my whole family.
Heck yeah, buddy.
So he just signed back with WF. When he signed, he was immediately put in the New Hart Foundation with Jim.
Just a new foundation.
Yeah. the New Foundation with Jim the Anvil
And
Neihart.
their MC Hammer Pants.
Yep, and then he then left. Oh, until Jim left the company in 92 after Royal Rumble. Then he was teamed with Coco Beware and High Energy.
Energy.
Then after that short-lived thing, after they lost,
It wasn't very good.
he went singles and. He went singles after Coco High Energy lost to the Head Shrinkers, which
Who
Yeah,
was
they were-
no, not Alpha.
Fatu and Samu.
yeah.
Samu
Fatu
and SWAT
Samu,
team.
yeah.
yeah, and then Samu ate that bad fruit, and then he never was seen again.
And
Uh,
congratulations to
Sione
Samu.
came-
He
Yeah,
actually
yes.
got his liver
Oh yeah,
transplant.
Samu ate the bad fruit.
Yeah.
because the Samu just stopped showing up on TV, and they're like, "Where's Samu?"
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And-
and they're like, "Oh, he ate bad fruit."
Well, they brought in the Barbarian.
Yeah,
Sione.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so-
like Dave was just saying this. Samu just got his transplant.
Yep, and
so that's good to hear.
successful. Good for him, man. It's awesome to hear. Then from 93 to 95, I mean, I kind of glazed over this, but so much happened at this
started
point.
picking up, yeah.
This is when he feuds with Brett. So he stood by his brother's side while his brother was doing an angle where it was a WWF versus a USWA angle.
There's a lot of that stuff on YouTube. It is amazing. That is the first ever appearance of heel Vince McMahon.
Yeah.
Is that
USWA.
Memphis stuff.
So it was Brett versus Jerry Lawler, and then there's a lot in between here, but during that feud, Owen actually won the USWA United World Heavyweight Championship from Papa Shango, and then it was cut short during a knee injury. He was gone for a while during knee injury after SummerSlam of '93. But during that feud, I mean, like Brett was wrestling Jerry, and there was a lot of crazy stuff happening there, and then it unified the titles, and then.
As a matter of fact, I think there's a lot of this stuff. If you have Amazon Prime has a lot of classic Memphis wrestling, and I think there's a whole like a special thing that's just this feud.
Yeah. Then he returned to fall of '93, back to another feud with his brother, and it began at Survivor Series, where he was reunited. Where they kind of did a little feud, then squashed the
93,
feud.
That should be more like 94.
It's 94.
Yeah,
93 was.
Well, he returned in the fall of '93.
Oh, no, it is 93.
Yeah,
He's absolutely right.
Yeah, returned in '93 with a feud with his brother that began at Survivor Series, and then they were reunited by the holidays.
No, he's right, because this was the last great commentary performance in WWF of Bobby Heenan.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
If you watch, there's a match. It was the Harts. It was Brett, Owen, I think Bruce, and Keith.
Yeah.
Against, it was supposed to be Jerry Lawler in his Knights, but Jerry Lawler was getting some legal trouble, so it was Shawn Michaels in his Knights.
Yeah.
And Bobby Heenan is just going in on Stu Hart, and the Hart
so
family.
funny,
You had 9 months to come up with a name, and the best you could do was Bruce.
Yeah. But yeah, they were quickly reunited again by the holidays due to some stuff where they didn't know who they were going to book against people. And then Brett and Owen went on to wrestle the tag team champions at Royal Rumble '94, the Quebecers. During the match, Brett had a kayfabe knee injury where he couldn't get to the tag. Owen got mad, then turned on him and pretty much beat the shit out of him.
And that's when he kicked his leg right out from under his leg.
Yeah. Then they went on to wrestle.
I will not wrestle my brother Owen. They did
Owen,
that whole thing.
my brother Owen.
My brother Owen.
The craziest thing about this whole angle, it was supposed to be Bruce. Bruce pitched the angle, the Family Feud thing, and it was supposed to be him. And Brett's like, no, I want to work with Owen. Brett hated Bruce.
He ends up beating his brother clean at WrestleMania 10.
Such a great match.
Yeah,
but then later on that night, Brett had to wrestle twice.
And it made no sense why Brett had to wrestle twice.
Yep.
That's one of the things I always
and he went on to win the title.
Yeah.
And then had this huge family moment where the Hart Foundation and everyone, the mom's in the ring,
all the baby faces
all the baby faces of the company are in there just jerking Bret Hart off.
Well, the reason they had to wrestle twice, that was the year. They both
won the Rumble.
Yeah, it was very early, and when the Royal Rumble, it was like the second year where the Rumble winner got the title shot at WrestleMania, and Bret and Lex Luger both won the Rumble.
Yeah, they both fell out.
And so they did a thing where, okay, you're both going to get a title shot, but it's not fair if Yokozuna has to wrestle twice and you don't, because Yokozuna was a champion at the time. So they did a coin toss on Raw, and it was like, okay, whoever wins the coin toss gets the first match, and Luger will wrestle Crush if he loses the coin toss, and Bret will wrestle Owen. So they did that to basically, they didn't want it to be unfair.
How much? You know, it would be interesting if we just like fucking went back and watched older shit and just be like, this shit wouldn't fly today. Like if they did that today, that would be laughed out of the building.
I don't know. I guess it all
I thought it was a good angle. I thought it was a really good angle.
I don't know. If they did a thing where Seth Rollins had to flip a coin to wrestle fucking R-Truth.
Well, no. Well, I guess see who wrestles first.
It was to see who wrestles first. They were both getting their shot.
Well, like the War Games, you always flip a coin, and somehow
and you always want J.J. Dillon on your side for that.
That guy's always win.
This is the exact moment where I became an Owen Hart fan, because I was not a Bret Hart fan. I always had a hard time rooting for the drink your milk. I'm the baby. That's the pure gold baby faces. So when
I say white meat, baby.
So
you're a stinking hyena.
So when Bret's holding the rope and he's like, "Come on, Owen, come on, and come in," and Owen's just like, "Fuck you!" Like I'm not doing it. He actually didn't whip the fingers, but he wouldn't join him. then some other stuff happened, but in between after that time,
1996 happened.
Owen Hart won the 1994 King of the Ring tournament and became the King of Hearts.
The Slammy Award winning.
Yeah.
2-time.
Yeah.
And then he was in a stable with Cornette.
Well, that was a little bit later.
Yeah, and then he ended up winning the tag team titles with Yokozuna.
Yeah. Another match worth going out of your way to see. SummerSlam 94. Brett and Owen in a cage is as good a match as you're going to see.
Good, yeah.
Then I'm just kind of I'm jumping around here.
Yeah, just to get you there. End of 94, he actually helped Bob Backlund beat Brett for the world title.
Yep.
And then
they threw the Talon, right?
Yeah, threw in the towel. And then 1995, the Smoking Guns were the tag champions, and it was Owen Hart and Mystery Partner against Smoking Guns. That's when they brought Yokozuna back.
Yeah.
And they win the tag titles there.
I think they were 2-time champs.
Yeah, well, there was that kind of dusty finish with Shawn Michaels and Diesel.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Dude's attitude.
Then 96 and 97, he teams back up with the Bulldog with Cornette and wins the tag team champions at In Your House 10. Then lost the newly created European Championship tournament to the Bulldog. Mm-hmm. And then they also reformed the Hart Foundation with Brett, Davey, Pillman, Jim. And also he won at that time. I guess I'm jumping around. And then at that time, so him and Jim are the tag team champions.
Him and
Davey Boy are the tag team champions.
Yeah.
But there's some feud there because they were both supposed to go for the European, but he lost to Davey.
For a while, they were doing the whole tag partner conflict, like they didn't like each other. It seemed like they were about to turn British Bulldog babyface.
Yeah.
And then Brett turned and he got the family back together. Like Brett kind of hashed it out with them. That's how they did that.
Bad guys.
And then he then went on to win the IC title from Rocky Maivia. So then pretty much at this point in time, the Hart Foundation has every title except the world title. Yeah. So they're like trying to go for all the gold. Until then the first really shot at that thing was they lost the tag team champions to Stone Cold and Shawn Michaels. Then we're going to get into the SummerSlam.
Which I never liked when they put two main eventers in.
Yeah, it was silly.
I never.
Before you go to that SummerSlam, the month before, In Your House Canadian Stampede.
Which is widely regarded as one of the best pay-per-views ever.
Yeah, and if you want
to anyway.
If you want a great match, that main event, you want to see heat like you will not see in wrestling anymore. That main event with Austin's team against the Harts is amazing.
Oh yeah, and what is it? It's Stone Cold, Goldust, Undertaker, and Ken Shamrock.
I think it was Stone Cold, Shamrock, Goldust, and the Road Warriors.
Yeah, and Goldust replaced somebody. I forget
we'll talk more about that in a minute.
Speaking of which, who's Rocky Maivia? Name doesn't ring a bell.
He had a guy with really bad hair.
Yeah.
His real name was Ricky Melvin.
Yeah. Then in SummerSlam, he wrestled Stone Cold Steve Austin in a Kiss My Ass match, where he ended up botching a pile driver and breaking Stone Cold's neck.
Almost killed him.
Stone Cold went on to even still win the match, but then had to vacate the belt.
He did this weird tombstone where he sat out like he was doing a regular pile driver.
Yeah, in Japan they call that the square driver.
Yeah.
And it's very dangerous.
Then it goes to, do we get to Bad Blood? So we're jumping ahead a little bit here. So Stone Cold vacated the title, and then it ends up leading up to, well, who's going to be the champion? Owen's in this really, really poor taste gimmick.
I just broke his neck,
Yeah, where he's doing the Owen 316, I just broke your neck, which actually had, from what I've read, had some actual bad blood between Austin and Owen.
Yeah.
Austin even said himself, I wish we would have buried that hatchet because it's the one I never got back, because he legit did not like Owen. He did not like that gimmick. He didn't like the fact that he was being made a mockery of.
Yeah.
From what I heard, Owen didn't like the gimmick. It was kind of something that was forced onto him, like, you're going to go out there and say that you broke his friggin' neck, you know? But yeah, so there was some heat there. There was actually some backstage heat where, you know, Austin did not like Owen, and they had some legit heat. So it ends up building up to Bad Blood, where there's going to be an intercontinental tournament, and Austin actually helped Owen win a lot of the matches because he said he wanted to be the one to fight Owen and win, which he ended up doing. That's for that same tournament. And also at that pay-per-view is when the Montreal Screwjob.
No, Owen won the title at Bad Blood. I think he beat Farouk, and then the Owen and Austin wrestled at Survivor Series.
Yes. But he wins the title of the tournament there. But at the same night that also took place, there was the Montreal Screwjob.
Yeah, Survivor Series.
It was the Intercontinental title.
Yes, he
didn't win the tournament that night. He wrestled he dropped the title to Austin that night.
Yes.
Yeah.
So then the Screwjob happens.
One of the most infamous punches in WWE history.
Allegedly.
It could knock out a rhino.
So Brett obviously leaves for WCW. Jim the Anvil Neidhart and British Bulldog were immediately granted releases. You could leave, you could do whatever you want. If you're not happy here, we're not going to hold you. That was not offered to Owen.
And we should mention, since he was in that stable, Bad Blood was also the night after Brian Pillman died.
Yes, that was just a bad night in general for that family.
Yeah.
Because it just horrible stuff. But the thing is what a lot of people are like, well, Owen wasn't granted his release, but also Owen wasn't really sure if he was going to leave regardless. He wasn't going to get the same money. And Owen obviously he was a penny pincher. He liked to save money, and he always thought of his family. He didn't really like the way things went down the first time at WCW. He knew he wasn't going to get the same money as the other guys were going to get. So he was like, man, if I hang out here, I might get a push. Something could happen for me. And I think that was a conversation that maybe Owen and Vince had. Hey, you should stay. I'm really sorry it went down like this, but you're a better businessman than your brother. But he ended up staying. He does not jump ship. So he stays in a company that probably had one of the most horrific nights of his family's life, and he's probably even getting some backstage stuff from his family. You're still going to work for this man.
Yeah. Bulldog and Neidhart were lost in WCW.
Yeah,
totally lost.
So it was a bad thing for Owen. If Owen leaves, he's alive today.
That's the one thing. Yeah.
If he stays, he was being built up for some stuff. He wasn't going to be a main attraction, but
I think maybe eventually he would have been.
Yeah, I agree.
It felt like because the next pay-per-view after the screw job was In Your House to Generation X. I think they should have done Michaels and Owen and not Michaels and Shamrock.
Yeah, they started doing it because that's when he
Blackheart.
Yeah. So 97, 98, he attacks HBK after a loss to Ken Shamrock at In Your House DX. After some time away from the ring, he has some new gear, new attitude, and he's now called the Lone Heart or the Black Heart. He wrestled HBK for the title but Triple H caused a DQ, which prevented his win. And then later had a match against Triple H where it was a swerve win where Goldust dressed up as Triple H for the European Championship.
Oh, yeah, and they counted it even though it was
and then they
Goldust.
said, well, he represented you lost it, so now he's the European champion, and that's kind of when he's also teaming up with the Nation of Domination.
Yeah,
because they were going against
I forgot
DX.
about that.
Yeah. And then that's when the DX came out dressed as the Nation, and that's when he's like, I'm just a little nugget.
Yeah.
Or Sean said, I can't seem to get rid of him. He's like a little piece. He's like a little nugget of shit that I can't seem to flush.
I never liked that.
Yeah, it was a dumb angle.
Yeah, it's Vince saying, "Yeah,
He's a shit.
Yeah, piece of shit. That's funny.
It's good shit." And then
Shorty Hart.
Yeah, shortly after that,
I am not a nugget.
Yeah, it was so dumb. Shortly after that, 98, 99, this is when I really liked him because I thought this was a good tag team, and I thought there was a lot of fun stuff happening here because he kind of toed the line between two different things. But he teamed up with Jeff Jarrett. They returned. They end up winning back the titles at WrestleMania. Then shortly after, lost them to X-Pac and Kane. And then in between that time, he's tag team with Jeff Jarrett, but he's also doing some shots here and there and returning as the Blue Blazer.
Yeah, I think the first time they did a match at an In Your House, and it was Goldust and Jeff Jarrett, and that was when Deborah was with Jeff Jarrett, and the whole thing was like, if Goldust beats Jarrett, Deborah's got to take her clothes off on the pay-per-view.
Yes. That's Attitude Era.
Yeah.
And Goldust wins, and Deborah strips down in her underwear, and then the Blue Blazer comes out and covers her up with a cape and helps her out.
So
and they were playing the thing where Owen Hart and Blue Blazer are not the same person.
Yes, and it was for me as a kid growing up.
Cool. Yeah.
Speaking of high energy, they had one time where a black guy came out as the Blue Blazer, and it was Coco.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Coco. It couldn't have clearly been Owen Hart because the Blue Blazers, Coco Beware. As a kid, I ate that shit up. I thought that was fucking.
I liked when Hogan did the Mr. America thing.
Oh, that was great.
Yeah.
The lie
Goose
detector.
McQueen and Chris Jericho.
I'm not Hulk Hogan, brother.
Then
Yeah. But unfortunately, he's doing back and forth between Jarrett and Owen Hart, and also as a Blue Blazer.
I think they were 2-time tag champs.
Yeah.
2-time tag champs. And then we had a pay-per-view, Over the Top, where he was supposed to wrestle
Over the Edge.
Over the Edge. Over the Edge. Over the Top was a movie. He was supposed to wrestle
Godfather.
the Godfather, and then while the way it was shot on TV was there was like a interview happening backstage, and they slowly they were getting it prepared, and I guess he was supposed to like kind of be suspended there for a second, and as he even stepped off, it just took off on him.
Yeah.
And he came down at a very, very high speed. And they said at the time, as I listened to the JR's podcast with Conrad about this, and he said it was
O'Connor.
He said it was very dark. They had the lights dim because there was a promo going on the Tron. And Owen came down, and they just said they heard him hit. He ended up hitting the turnbuckle and then flipping like a front flip over the turnbuckle and landing in the ring.
Next to the ref. I forget the ref side. He was like right there.
I think Corderis was. I think it was Jimmy Corderis.
The referee immediately threw up whatever sign they had at that time. We'll just say the X. And it immediately the King got up and went over.
Yeah.
And then everyone came out and started working on him. They didn't really know what to do. They ended up cutting back to JR, who was saying, I don't do I stay kayfabe here or what's going on? And it was literally that's like a last second, like how do we talk about this? And he literally said, "Hey man, something just happened. Owen Hart just had a fall. I don't know the condition. I don't know what's going on. Doesn't look good. I'm going to be honest with you folks. Like I can't from word for word. I'm getting chills even talking about it. But,
yeah, I'm trying to think back to watching the pay-per-view that night.
I'm pretty sure it's not even on the network. They took that night off the network.
I think it's on there.
I think it's still on there.
You don't see it. Like even live, they cut out. They did the 7-second delay.
There's always that one wrestling rumor fan thing where he's like, I watched it live that pay per view.
No,
and you can. Nothing was ever shown.
No,
nothing.
You
was
hear
ever
JR say, "We've got a problem here," as they're throwing it to a backstage promo that they did with Owen that night.
Yes. As JR is talking, the King kind of comes back and takes his seat. And you can clearly tell in his face that it's not good.
Yeah.
And he honestly, man, you want to talk about commentary teams, and I guess this is a huge reason why the King and JR get as much credit as they do is for everything they've done. They literally just watched a man that they're on the road with, they're touring with. They pretty much watched him grow up. They know his family. And they literally just watched them pretty much die.
Yeah.
And now they have a camera in their face, and they have to keep it together.
Yeah, that's rough for anybody,
Wow. I know this night gets a lot of heat, and I know it gets a lot of thing like, well, how can the show go on? And do you refund the entire arena? Like at some point, you have to think.
It's a tough call either way.
It is super, super tough to call. But so I don't think they pronounced he didn't die in the ring. I think they kept him for the most part alive.
I don't know. I don't know if he made it out.
Yeah,
he made it the next day, I believe.
No, they announced on that show like a few hours later.
I think they pronounced him dead in the ambulance on the way to the I think they kept chest compressions and tried whatever they can, but it was really, really bad. I think there was at one point in time they actually started going through the crowd and taking photographs and footage and whatever they can find just so they can bury that. Horrible.
It is like one of those things where thankfully this is before everybody's got a phone on the camera phone.
So and the ramifications of that to this day, I mean they've never had anyone come down on a ripcord ever again. Nothing came ever from the ceiling. It caused
Sting still did it a few times on Nitro, but that was about then they kind of.
But his was more like a lowering down and not like Shawn did it and then Owen but it caused a lot of ramifications. Obviously, the family already didn't like Vince and the company, and then, there was some heat where Owen didn't want to do it, and then there's all that whole story with him and Russo, where Russo saying Owen didn't want to do it and he was forced into doing it, and then people were like, Owen would have never done. If Owen would have told Vince, I don't want to do this, they would have scrapped it. But yeah, it was a booking by, I think Russo actually booked the idea where he comes down. And then that's where they kind of
it was a freak accident.
And since then they've have done in other promotions, like I know they did this whole angle where Piper on microphone blamed Russo for the death of Owen Hart.
That was TNA. Like and it was like the whole Piper has a live mic thing. He literally backs Russo in the corner and goes, "Did you kill Owen Hart?"
Yeah, that's
horrible. Horrible. Not a fan of that at all. But yeah, I mean, it still to this day has ramifications when it comes to the Owen and his wife and the company.
Yeah, more so Martha Hart.
Yeah,
that's why you don't see him in the Hall of Fame. That's why you don't see him in games.
Dumb. I mean, why not?
Which is a fucking huge shame.
He deserves to be, even if he didn't die there. I mean, if he died let's say he got shot or something.
Yeah.
he still deserves to be in the Hall of Fame.
His work speaks for itself. I mean, we'll get into this in a second, but he did leave behind his high school sweetheart wife and their 2 children. I do not know their children's names.
Oj and Athena, I think it is.
Okay. So we'll get into a little bit of some of his accomplishments and some of the stuff he is in. He may not be in the WWE Hall of Fame, but there is a laundry list of Hall of Fames that he has been put into since. The George Tragos and Luthez Press Pro Wrestling Hall of Fame, class of 2018. The Legends Pro Wrestling Hall of Fame, 2011. Pro Wrestling Illustrated, the Pro Wrestling Hall of Fame, 2019. Actually, he's in there. And then the Canadian Hall of Fame, as a singles competitor and as also with the Hart Foundation. He has won the New Japan World Junior Weight Heavy Championship once. He was Pro Wrestling Illustrated's 94 Editors Award. I'm not sure exactly what that is. The Editors Award, I guess
Wrestler of the Year, probably.
Yeah, that's what
Like
I would
a bonus
think.
award, yeah.
He was in Feud of the Year with his brother, and he was also Rookie of the Year in '87. He was number 10 of 500 in 1994. 94 was a great year for him with the
94 was his best year. That was when he was a main event guy.
Then he won the USWA World Heavyweight Championship one time, and then the WWF he was European Champion once, Intercontinental Champion twice, Tag Team Champion 4 times, King of the Ring, and 3 Slammy Awards.
I think he would have won a world title eventually.
Yeah.
He would have stayed, and and he was going to win the Intercontinental title that night.
To this day, he still has a lot of impact with a lot of wrestlers. I know pretty much for the most part. I believe Mick Foley's son is named Owen.
No, it's Kevin Owens. That's how we got the name Owens.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Mick Foley's son was his favorite wrestler was Owen Hart.
Yes.
And then Kevin Owens named his son Owen from Kevin.
Right.
Or from Owen Hart.
Yeah.
From Owen Hart, not Kevin. That doesn't make sense.
Yeah, Mick Foley had a story about how his son Dewey was so excited one night because he had a haircut just like Owen Hart's.
Yes. Yeah. So I mean, like to this day, I mean, it's not really talked about. They don't really bring it up, but he is still one of the most missed guys of all time. Like I wish I would have pulled up some of his rib stories. But some of them are fucking legendary.
There's a great one where there's this guy, Reggie Parks, who's a bodybuilder, wrestled a little bit. He's most famous for making belts. And he could do a great Reggie Parks impression. And he called his dad. And he was talking about how, I could have beat you. And all this stuff. He's like, well, Reggie, you should have said something when you were here and we were younger. And he's getting his dad all riled up. And then lo and behold, it's Owen doing the whole thing.
I believe there's a story, too, where he stole one of the Nasty Boys' bags. He climbed up a wall and hid it on top of a pipe, and then someone else got blamed for it, and it was really bad.
I know when Foley was doing Dude Love, he would wrestle Owen Hart a lot, and it was when Austin had the neck injury, and he would be the outside the ring enforcer. And Owen and Mick Foley made it their mission to just crack up Steve Austin every night with their matches. They would have popcorn bags and just hit each other with them and act like they were been hit with barbed wire baseball bats.
He would spray strawberry smelling perfume on him. So he'd be like, "What the hell's that?" In his own.
Yeah, they said that he was a legend. Was he involved with the X-Pac eyebrow shaving?
He may have been.
Probably. He did a lot of prank calls because he would do imitations.
Yeah.
Yeah, he would do it because there are other guys who had reputation, but there were people who had reputations for doing completely malicious ones, like Mr. Fuji.
Yeah,
where that's where the whole Al Snow Pepper thing.
Yeah, based on
Mr. Fuji literally killed somebody's dog and fed it to them.
Yeah.
Oh God.
So many backstage pranks and ribs are simple schoolboy pranks: boots in the shower, hide your gym bag, laxatives in a protein shake, that kind of thing.
On your bag.
Owen Hart were a cut above the rest. Oh, I just lost it. We're a cut above the rest. His telephone skills and ability to prey on victims' egos meant he was able to pull off much more sophisticated shenanigans. Ahmed Johnson was remembered receiving a phone call where he was meant to be a guest on The Tonight Show with Jay Leno, which would be huge for anyone in the entertainment business, but especially for a wrestler of those profession were not often given this mainstream respect. In preparation, Ahmed Johnson splashed out about $4,000 on a brand new suit, jewelry, and was told a limousine would be picking him up at 8 o'clock for a television studio, but he was left standing on the curb with no vehicle had ever arrived.
I think one thing he would do a lot too is he would
Yeah.
All right, see you later.
See you, man.
he would call people in their hotel rooms and just say, "I saw you in the bar. You're one of those fake wrestlers. You're not shit." And then when they would come down all angry to fight, they see Owen down there laughing.
Yeah. I'm trying to find out here. Iron Sheik said Larry Zbyszko's armpits were so bad he gave him splitting headaches. Dusty Rose. I'm just trying to find the stories here, but they're like
There's some that they tell on the Bruce Prichard tells on his
yeah.
podcast,
I mean, if you just Google some of Owen
Yeah.
Hart's pranks, I mean they're fucking unbelievable. Yeah, but just check them out. But here's some matches that I pulled up that and they go by I guess Dave Meltzer's star rankings.
Oh, okay.
So this is some 4.2 star matches that if you want to go back and check out and watch some old Owen Hart. Owen Hart versus HBK in your house 6, 4.25 stars. Owen Hart and the Bulldog versus HBK in Austin on Raw of May 26th of 1997, 4.25 stars.
That was the European title match.
That was a tag team match.
Oh, was it? Okay.
Yeah, tag team match. Owen Hart, Brian Pillman, Jim, Brett, and Bulldog versus LOD, Goldust, Shamrock, and Austin, and In Your House 16.
That's
Canadian
Calgary
Stampede.
Yep, Canadian Stampede, 4.25 stars.
It's better than that.
Yeah.
Then we got a 4.5, and it's Owen Hart versus Jushin Thunder in New Japan Pro Wrestling, April 28th, 1991. Then we have another 4.5 here, which is Owen Hart versus the Bulldog, Raw of March 3rd, 97.
That's the European title match. That's the first one.
Owen versus Brett at WrestleMania 10.
Yeah, that's great.
4.5. And then
I think you have to give that one 5 stars.
Yeah.
Sometimes
Owen
Dave
versus
is
Brett,
off.
SummerSlam 94, 5
Yeah,
stars.
That's the cage match.
That was the 5-star match. So I mean, there's some matches if you want to go back and check out some Owen Hart stuff. I would recommend it. The guy was fucking amazing, and it's really, really, really a shame that we lost him
Yeah, I
so
didn't know
soon.
he's that young. My God.
34 years old.
Jesus.
34
I'm older
years old.
than that. Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's crazy.
I still remember as a kid, like I remember going to school, and it was one of those first times where to me, like wrestling was, I knew it was worked, and
Yeah.
and that's when I really started getting into the fact where I wasn't just a wrestling fan, but I was a fan of people. Like I just remember, like that's when I started getting into like not so much the dirt sheets, but
Yeah.
where like the internet was starting to become a thing,
Yeah,
and
you
you
can
could
go and read
actually
the wrestling news.
Yeah, you can go and kind of get the behind the
OneWrestling.com.
scenes stuff. Yeah, but and I just remember everything I've ever looked up about Owen Hart was like he was just a good dude, and that's when I was starting to like, man, like I really really like Sean, but then that's when the stories are coming out like Sean's an asshole,
Sean's a piece
you know what
of
I mean?
shit, yeah.
But for how much he was an asshole, I still was like, but I like him in the ring, you know
Yeah.
what I mean? And I can kind of like he was the fucking dude I wanted to be because he was like he would be the guy who bullied me in high school, but I wish I was the guy bullying
Yeah,
everybody
yeah,
else. You know
yeah.
what I mean? Like, but yeah, and I remember we were in school and and it was right after the pay per view, and I'm walking in the hallway, and I was like, man, I was like it literally shocked me as a kid. Like, there's been 2 deaths in sports that like I just remember for like a solid month I was just kind of like numb for a while. Well, maybe there's 3. I'm sorry, there's 3 deaths, and Owen was one of them. The other one would be Dale Earnhardt. You literally watch that accident and you're like, oh, he'll be fine. It's Dale Earnhardt. And then you're like hanging out and they're like, breaking news, Earnhardt's dead. And I was like, wow. Like it's just like one of those things where reality is like, wow, this is what they're doing is super dangerous. And the other one was the Sean Taylor when he was murdered. That one definitely rocked me as well. Like you step back from what you're watching as entertainment and you start feeling for them as people. But Owen was definitely the first of many wrestlers that we did lose, but that one was like the first one for me. I was like, man, this sucks.
Yeah.
Like what they're doing is insane, and they should be given all the credit in the world. You know, that's why I always like when I go to an indie show, or I even have a hard time in general just saying like, well, someone sucks in the ring, or they're terrible at what they do. I've never fucking stepped between those ropes. I would never say someone is terrible because the amount of training they do to get to where they are, they had to do something right, you know. So it's just tough for me to say that sometimes, and it's easy to say. So sometimes it does come out, but it's moments like that where like you lose someone, you're like, man, it puts a lot in perspective. But somebody's walking down the hallway and they're like, ding dong, the nugget's gone, and they were like making all these, and I was like in middle school, and I was like, you're a fucking asshole.
Yeah.
Like he's legit dead. He has 2 kids. Like,
Yeah.
and everyone just was so bought into the fact that he was a heel.
Yeah.
That they're like, well, I'm glad he's dead. He sucked anyway. He was a bad guy. I'm like, he was a bad guy on television. Like, he's a real person and he's dead. Like, I remember getting in like arguments with people. Like, and I'm at school ready to cry.
Yeah.
Because you know what I mean. I'm like, you have to realize he's fucking. That's, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Like, and you're trying to explain this stuff to people, and you're trying to like also explain to them that Santa Claus isn't real.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's
Like,
weird that wrestling exists in that weird thing where it's like it's real.
those
some
moments
people,
and those moments of wrestling are gone. Like, there was still a era
Some
where
people still think like, oh, they're like, oh, the Miz is a real asshole.
yeah,
You know, it's
like some people still really buy into that. Like,
and even
I
smart
can't-
people that like, oh, I know it's fake, but that Miz, he's a prick.
Yeah.
Like, until his book came out, I thought McFoley was legit insane.
Yeah,
Just because of all the stuff he did.
yeah.
he's such a down to earth dude too.
Yeah.
It's weird how wrestling like exists in that thing. Like if like they did an abortion angle in wrestling. But you can't do that there. Well, why not? TV shows do that.
Yeah.
It's weird that it exists in both realms.
That was the thing I was listening to on the Bruce Pritchard Conrad podcast where he was like, well, was it done in bad taste? And he's like, no. And he's like, well, why are we held to a standard where if we do a storyline where someone's cheating on their wife or an abortion or where an American guy becomes a sympathizer to a terrorist group, is it bad taste for us? But you can turn on any television or any movie and any music and they can do all those angles, but we're held to a different standard.
It's weird. It exists somewhere between real and fake.
Yeah. It's a weird thing, man. There's two things that I think get censored more than anything. And I think the two biggest ones is pro wrestling and music. You know what I mean? Like music's a crazy thing. Like I'm listening to the Dirt book, the Dirt from Motley Crue.
Okay.
And Mick Mars goes, If I was an actor and I was watching TV too loud, nobody would call the cops on me and tell me to turn my TV down. But if I was listening to my favorite album, the cops would come and bang on my door and say, turn your music down.
Yeah.
Like, think about that for a second. Like, I can blast a TV, but I can't blast music. Like, it's
weird.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing.
It's like Chris Jericho's going to be a Klan guy in the new
and people are upset about it.
It's like he's a bad guy in a movie. It's a movie.
It's a movie.
But if you had a Klan guy in AEW, oh my God, what are you doing?
Yeah.
But the movie's fun.
Yeah.
It's weird. It's weird.
So, yeah, that's the Owen Hart. We did run pretty long here,
wow.
but it happens. Who wants to take topic next week?
I don't know. I don't know whose turn
I think we pretty much got through everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if realistically, it can come back to Brian or Dave or whoever wants to jump on it.
I don't think you went for a long time.
Does anyone have one in their mind they want to do?
I do.
Okay, well there. I don't have
do.
one.
We brought him up earlier. Probably
Coco Beware.
Yes, Coco Beware.
Brian
the Birdman. No. Probably more than anybody, the reason I got into wrestling and not a wrestler at all. Bobby the Brain Heenan.
Oh, that's it.
So we had our first pay-per-view, and now we're going to have our first non-wrestler.
Yeah, there we go.
Well, he wrestled a little bit.
Yeah,
but
but
he's-
I like
yeah.
he's a manager. Commentator.
What I might also do, I have to make some conversation first and see how it goes, but we may also do a call-in where we're going to do like a little spotlight of a local person too.
Okay.
Depending, because I think right now we're getting caught up with, I know there's a lot to talk about, but we're not so much of a review show as more like just talk about what we think.
General wrestling show.
General wrestling
I know
show.
there's a lot of people that want to call in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think I'm going to open the doors a little
Trajan
bit.
said, what can I call in? I go, whatever you want, man. Just let me know.
He's on my list, and also Leroy Green
Okay.
wants to call in. But
Yeah.
I think we can also use Leroy for Not Cool in High School.
Yeah.
I think that's what I was kind of going to use.
Okay,
him.
yeah.
So if you want to, if you want to get on hold with Trajan,
Trajan. That's a weird name. Yeah.
we can have him call in next week, and he
Yeah.
can maybe do like a little background. I mean, if you want to,
To plug the next True show, probably.
Is there
'cause
enough
he's
room at the
champion.
table for the chubby daddy?
Yeah.
yeah. Well, if he lives close, he can come hang out.
Because we were
but-
going to wrestle, but that show got canceled.
Yeah. If
Wait,
you're wondering,
you're going to be either you or Tyler's not going to be here next week. So
yeah.
I won't be here on the 7th.
I think Tyler's going to be at like a concert next week. I think he said.
I think you're the concert, and Tyler's not going to be. I don't.
I forgot. Ghost concert.
Ghost concert. If he's not going to be here next week, then if he
Maybe
lives
it was
close,
Tuesday.
he can.
I don't know if he'll want to physically count. He lives up in Wilkes-Barre right now.
Yeah,
somewhere.
yeah. So we'll just have him call in. But if anyone's asking, well, how come we haven't done Andy?
I'm here on that every week. So.
He's here every week, and
gonna
also,
call in.
if you want to kind of dive into like the history of Andy, we did an interview with Andy.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, it's not. It's general. It's not just wrestling.
Yeah, it's not just wrestling; it's a little bit of everything. But we do like a one-on-one with Andy on interviews with other people, so you can check that out. But I'm sure we've always kind of asked Andy in between there about his his beginnings and origin stories a little bit.
Kind of give nuggets.
Yeah,
those
little nuggets.
You're not a nugget.
Little tidbits all the time.
Yeah. So yeah, maybe we'll have call in as well as I love the Bobby the Brain Heenan thing. I think he's a fucking wrestling genius.
This DVD is really good.
Yeah, he's unbelievable. He's he's actually a little tidbit, like your podcast is under a branch name.
Then that's exactly where it comes from.
Yeah, Project Humanoid is
Oh, the humanoids,
that's
the
it.
Ham and Eggers.
yeah. That's where they got.
I didn't know that was part of the thing.
Yeah, so his
that sounds like Murder My Dude. When did Bobby Heenan say that?
Murder My Dude is under the. They're trying to develop a network.
Okay.
And their network is Project Humanoid,
Gotcha.
and you can go to projecthumanoid.com and buy merchandise. But the idea of that name came from a Bobby Heenan.
By the way, use promo code OCT31 until the end of the month. You can get free shipping on all orders.
Yeah.
Oh,
I think you can do
remember
it for our store too.
Yeah, I think it's just a
OC3.
I didn't get the email.
OT1.
like OCT, like October,
Yeah,
all
okay.
caps. OCT31.
Jeez, I
That's
wonder
a
what that means.
It's a Teespring thing. If you go on Teespring and order things, I think that's
October
the
31st?
code. Yeah, you get
It
free
runs
shipping.
it runs through the whole month.
Yep.
Yeah.
And they just got a new shirt out there too.
Oh,
which is a
cool.
little another wrestling style shirt.
Well, it's more of a music style shirt. It's
Yeah.
MMD straight out of Pennsylvania, like the NWA shirt.
Oh,
shirt.
nice.
Yeah, it's awesome. But yeah, so Andy, what do you got to plug?
Okay, well, first watch NWA Power every Tuesday at 6:05. Saturday 6:05.
Just
So
plug in
say
a
that.
wrestling show.
Yeah,
Love
watch
it.
that show because it's fantastic. And I'll be PPW Saturday at the Holy Family Academy. But I don't know who I'm wrestling yet. I still didn't get the graphic, but I will be there in Austin Aries versus Clutch House with the main event. And then Call of Power Ring will be out.
A new one just
Friday.
came out.
Yeah, that was last week's our
Yeah.
weekly episode. So Friday, Saturday, and then I just debuted the new shirt design. So
On
see it on
Facebook?
Facebook. Yes, on Facebook and Instagram. And we'll have shirts as soon as I talk to the shirt people.
Send
and
me it, and we'll put it on our page. Too.
hopefully within a couple weeks.
And that is a nice looking shirt. Go to that.
Thank
Go to
you.
his Facebook.
I would say in a month we'll have them.
Yeah,
But-
so, like I said, if you want, we'll share it on the Instagram too, so people can
Okay,
see it.
yeah.
And the Facebook, we'll just say, "Hey, coming soon, Andy."
Yeah.
Andy, new shirt.
Blue and gold shirt.
I really gotta.
Would you hope to get in 3 colors? At least 2, blue and gold.
We gotta
so-
get your tag team partner. I mean, I never talked to him.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
He could probably call it. It's hard because he has family. And
Yeah.
everything, so maybe
We'll get a run in.
a night. Yeah, maybe you call him for a little bit.
What do you call it when his wife's name? What's her wife's
Amber.
name?
That's
Amber
her last
Running.
name, yeah.
Amber Running. Yeah. If you listen to Call It the Power Ring, every
Yeah.
time Amber comes in the room, he's like, "Oh, we're getting a running."
Yeah.
Yeah. Really cool dude, man. I gotta see. I've never seen you in tag action with him. I gotta.
Oh wow, yeah.
I gotta make that happen soon.
Probably True Wrestling would be the place. for
Yeah.
that.
Well, you got you and Sambo show.
Yeah, no, that's Backbreakers actually. That's in 2 weeks.
Yeah,
yeah, that
really
should be
good, really good friends of this podcast here. We love the Sambo show guys. So and you're going to be in tag team action with them coming up very soon. What do you got, Dave?
Pretty sure this Saturday at the Buckhorn in St. Clair we have a Radio Soup. Terry James is acoustic act with Frankie Klein, and I'm sorry I don't know the other guy's name.
I was gonna ask if that was actually a soup. I was
Right.
like, wait, just a soup? Oh, no, come
The
get
funny
some.
thing is when they put the picture up of them playing at
Buckhorn Roundhouse.
Roundhouse recently, and they have the guy playing cajon, and it literally is just like a chubbier dude with glasses and
Yeah.
a big red beard. And I was like, man, Dave looks terrible. It looks like the voice upstairs minus Dave, minus Steve.
Yes.
Come on out and check it out. And the Buckhorn, as of Saturday, will now have Hershey's Chocolate Porter on draft.
Wow.
Yeah. Oh, and the talk. What are they? Talk radio or radio soup?
Radio Soup.
And I'm sorry, but super talented dudes, man. I've hung out with Terry and Frank for a long time with the boys upstairs. Terry is probably one of the most powerful voices you'll hear in the area. So good at what he does. Frank's a really good guitarist too. We had Frank on it for an interview, so if you want to check out that interview, but they're definitely a cool local band to go see. Brian, what do you got?
Murder My Dude. Hey, we were just
Murder My
talking about
Dude.
that.
Yeah.
Project200.com is the website. You can find the episodes there. Our store, it's all streamlined now. It's all on one page. We just, like you said, do a shirt coming out. We have another one coming up. The new episodes come out Thursday morning. One came out early today. We went to the classics. H.H. Holmes, The Murder Castle.
If you don't know anything about H.H. Holmes, definitely listen to it because they dive deep into it, and he's a very interesting.
Is that the hotel owner?
Yes.
Yeah, in Chicago,
Yeah.
you're doing the World's
He
Fair.
inspired the Saw movies, and he also inspired, I believe, a skit in Dexter.
Yeah, and we get into it a little bit. He may have also been Jack the Ripper.
Oh,
There's
wow.
a theory.
There's theories. Yep.
Yeah.
Very
Wasn't that
interesting
old,
stuff.
was he?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So he.
It was a hotel in the 20s, right?
The 1800s.
Oh, wow, I didn't know
like
that. Wow.
1890s.
Wow.
So
Jesus.
I don't want to say too much because I want you to go listen to it, but there was a time where he finished college and then went and studied abroad to England, and then the time when he was in England and the time he returned is kind of when the Jack Ripper murder started
wow.
and then ended when he came back to America.
There was a show on the History Channel called American Ripper, which was his great-great-grandson who advanced this theory, and he also thought he didn't die. He was executed. One of the things we bring up, my co-host, Jack, H.H. Holmes is actually buried in the same cemetery as a lot of his family.
Yeah.
And they exhumed
In
the body
Philly.
and everything. Yeah, he was because the murder he got caught for was in Philadelphia, and he was executed there. We actually talk about where the prison is, and now there's an Acme supermarket there.
Oh, Jesus.
I just said Acme like I'm in Philly.
Yeah.
Acme, not Acme.
Is the supermarket haunted?
No. Yeah. If
It's an Acme, so maybe.
you'll get the gas chamber inside the frozen fruit section.
It's haunted by savings.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't walk into this freezer; you might suffocate.
Yeah, super interesting story. And guy, super interesting guy. Actually, when I joined you guys, that was initially our behind the scenes spoiler. We were going to do that show together, but then we figured because of Skook Stock, we should do like another music one.
Yeah, so we did John Lennon on interviews. So yeah, we finally did H.H. Holmes now.
And you can check out an actual Murder My Dude episode that was filmed for the first time. Like only one that's ever been filmed is on our channel here, so you can check that. And it's the only one that's a thumbnail that's different. So if you see like Tornado Tech, the thumbnail is actually a Murder My Dude episode.
Oh,
yeah,
cool.
Yeah, it's awesome stuff, man. And I'm not just saying it because he's sitting next to me. It's honestly like one of my favorite podcasts. It's something different. It's something I don't normally do on this show where it's either wrestling or comic book related and stuff.
We always work wrestling in somehow, though.
They always do. It's always in there.
It's in the very beginning on this one.
Yeah.
Are you ahead, caught up, or behind?
I'm current, so I have to listen to the newest episode.
The new one literally came out this morning.
Yeah, I didn't get and I worked all day, so I didn't get a chance to listen to it. But I am current with it. I do listen to every episode. I'm one of the guys who give him 10 cents every episode.
What do you got going on this weekend, Tony?
I am going to see Crowbot and Steel Panther this Saturday in Poughkeepsie, New York.
That's a haul, man.
Yeah, it's worth it.
Should have went to the Philly show.
I told him to check out the Mid-Hudson Civic Center while he's up there.
Yeah, I couldn't get off work. I'm probably going to drive home that night too.
4 hours up, and then you're there for. Ben said it's 4 hours. I don't know how far.
3 hours and 5 minutes up, depending on how long you're going to be up there, plus the show and the ride back.
I know going to Philly and back.
I just drove 12 hours to Indiana.
Yeah, but no. Well, that's
in one shot. Yeah. And I was the only one who drove.
That was a terrible idea.
Yeah, it was fucking crazy. But what my plan is on the way home, when everyone's exhausted and they're sleeping in the car, Murder My Dude.
Okay, if it keeps whatever keeps you up.
I made everyone in the car listen to Murder My Dude on the way up to Indiana.
Okay,
and then we also listened to an Interviews Everyday People podcast because somebody that my mom wanted to listen to it, so I had to listen to my own voice.
Oh no, that's the worst.
Whose interview?
It was the tarot card reading.
Oh, how was that? Anyway,
really fun. It was awesome. She's actually she has appointments open now, so if you're interested, go check out our Facebook page. We did tag her post that if you want your tarot cards read and have a psychic medium experience, you can contact her. It was fun. I would recommend
Interesting.
it. Yeah,
I love all that stuff.
Yeah, I'm into it too. I'm skeptical, but I'm interested.
Yeah, me too. There's a podcast that's too called the Alternate
This
Route
time of year
podcast.
is a good time too.
Yeah,
and they were on Jericho, and they were like, just Jericho loves to have conspiracy theories, and people talk about Bigfoot, UFOs, and stuff. I like to listen to all that stuff, monsters and stuff.
That's the thing too, man. If
Especially to territorial monsters like the New Jersey Devil and stuff like that.
Yes.
That's awesome. I want it to all be real.
Yeah, me too. So that's a cool thing too. Like when we finally get like the equipment that I want, like I want to get a GoPro.
Mm-hmm.
Like if we can all like kind of spring for it one time and just like get GoPros and then fucking just strap into our heads or our chests and just go fucking walk in a cemetery or do something cool. I would love to do stuff like that. I think it'd be really fun. But yeah, that's if you're listening and you definitely want to come on Interviews with Everyday People, it doesn't have to be like an interview. We have to come and spill your life. I'm so open to any
if you do
topic.
something, some type of arts and craft or
and it doesn't. I'm not even limited to that. Like it doesn't have to be. You don't have to be a business. If you want to be a business owner, awesome. You want to be a band, a musician, artist, anything.
If you draw a lot,
if you want to come on the show and the only thing you want to talk about is just come on the show and talk about Bigfoot. I will fucking talk about Bigfoot all day long. Like you know what I mean? Like it could,
and not the Bigfoot from Howard Stern.
I'll even talk about that. Hey, looking around and such. But yeah, I would literally.
I got a big cock. It is.
It is. Yeah, I'm so interested in talking about any topic with something. So it doesn't always have to be like an interview sit down. Like I don't want to say and spoof it, but it can be like Joe Rogan where we just sit and talk about fucking weird shit. You know what I mean? Like some
whatever
of the
you're into,
most of the interviews end up turning into like Not Cool in High School shows or wrestling shows where we just sit down and we start to, because that's what we're mutually interested in. So anyone's interested, hit us up. This show really, I can't really have you join the table, but if you want to call in, we can always have you do that. Same with Not Cool in High School. So just check out those shows, and thank you guys so much for the support. Like I said, links below if you want to buy some merch from us or from Project Humanoid Murder My Dude guys. Pretty soon Andy will have a shirt up, and Dave doesn't have his own shirt yet.
He might be getting.
We're working on it. We'll get the Dave shirt made or something.
Please don't.
I'm excited to get the shirts out.
I'll spring and get Haley Stokes to draw you as a cartoon, and we'll put your face on t-shirts.
Please don't.
We'll get butt plugs made.
No.
The Dave Martin butt plug.
Of all merchandise to have.
Yeah. I hope they.
I mean, I wouldn't mind like a nice beer glass.
Like with your face on it.
No, just beer glass.
Just a plain beer glass.
just a plain beer
You
glass.
just buy some beer. These are for you. Blank.
I keep messaging Teespring and they keep giving me the same generic answer. Go look at our forums, but I'm like, can you put hats on this?
Yeah, it'd be
site?
nice.
You think hats would be like one of the t-shirts?
So if
Pine glasses, yeah.
Yeah,
Like,
you can put hats on the website, but you have to spring and get the hat and then put it and send it to
Oh,
them,
well,
and then
what's that good?
it's stupid. Yeah, but it'd be cool if they got some more merch. Another cool thing I'm finding out on we'll talk about it on camera real quick. I don't care, but sometimes I'm like, some people are buying stuff and it doesn't show up in my sales. But if I look at my sales that I actually had, like there's items in there that they weren't showing me that I sold.
oh, wow.
Yeah,
That's interesting.
Like someone bought a pair of leggings, a sticker, and something else, and it didn't show up in the sales. But if I look at my history of what people ordered, it was there, and I don't know if I ever got the money for it.
Huh, that's weird.
Yeah, I was like, are they fucking burning me?
No, you
Unless
gotta look
they-
into this.
Still can't believe
Teespring.
somebody
they
bought
ordered
one of
it
those
and
ugly ass
canceled or
pillows.
Yeah.
It was Tom Kessler.
Tom Kessler did it. But yeah, that'll do it for Tornado Tag Podcast. Thank you guys so much. Like I said, go check out all of our pages, Instagram, Facebook, the whole nine.
Get yourself a Tony pillow.
Get you a Tony pillow and you could rub it and do whatever you want to it.
do whatever you want.
But yeah, so you can check us out this Friday. Andy and Dave, possibly Dave, will be at PPW. Come over and say hi. Unfortunately, I do apologize for PPW. I won't be there. But we'll be there the next one. We'll be there for the next two. We'll be at that one. Just my two favorite bands in the world are playing together, and I have to go. So that'll do it for Tornado Tag Podcast. Cup the balls. Bye. Butt plug. Coming from fucking Dave.
What did I do at the end of that song? Ba-doop, boop, boop, or something
Yeah,
like that.
boop, boop, boop.